This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good afternoon and welcome to a beautiful day in South Africa. It's an epic way to start because we've just found some very, very fresh leopard prints from a female leopard, which is going to be great news. Now, my name is Tristan, and on camera today I've got Craig, and it is a special warm welcome to the three schools that are joining us this afternoon. I hope that you are all having the most wonderful day. So it's a warm welcome to Mary K. Good and to Glenwood and White Oaks Elementary. I hope, like I said, that you're having a good day so far and that you're going to love being on safari with us here in South Africa. Remember that you can ask lots and lots and lots of questions because we are live, and that means that we'll try and answer as many as we can. And so you just give them to your teacher and your teacher will give them to us. Now, I was saying that we have a leopard track here, and it's a fresh leopard track. And the reason why it's a fresh leopard track is because this area was driven this morning, and these tracks are right on top of the track for the tires. So if we have a look at this one over here, there it is. You can see it's quite a round track. That's how I know it's a leopard. It also has 3 lobes at the back. 1, 2, 3, and then it comes forward like that to make the triangle of the back part of the foot. And then what you've got is you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 toes with no claws on the front. If it had claws on the front, it would be for something like a hyena. If it has a situation where it's got the 3 lobes, it's also cat and not dog. If it was a dog, it would only have 2 lobes. So if you look at your hand, you've got these kind of 1, 2. That would be like a dog. A cat has a 3rd lobe, and then there are 4 fingers that go forward with no claws in front. The reason why I know it's a female leopard is because of the size of the track. It's quite small, and so I think this is a leopard that is quite new to our area that we know as Shadulu, and so I'm going to try and see if we can find her. But before I head anywhere, as I was getting off the car, I spotted something very exciting, which is very close and probably quite dangerous to me because I don't want to get squashed by one of these. This is South Africa's biggest animal, so I'm going to try and get forward towards where they are so that you can see them. Hold on 2 seconds. Luckily, I wasn't walking around. Otherwise, I might have been in a bit of danger from these guys. These guys, you have to be a little careful when you're walking around because of how big they are. Sometimes they can get very protective of their babies. And so what I'm talking about is there. So we have a big herd of elephants that are starting to come out. How exciting is this? And it's a really good way to start our afternoon with a herd of elephants and tracks for a leopard. It's 2 of my favorite things that we get out here. I love spending time with both those animals, and so hopefully our leopard won't be too far away, and then we may be able to see the leopard with the elephants, which will be very, very cool. Now, this is just a small group of elephants at the moment. There's still more coming out of the bush. They've been spending their day in the nice overcast weather, feeding off all the luscious green grass. So they're trying to get the green grass that has grown after the rain, because the grass has got lots and lots and lots of seeds on it. Now I'm trying to find you a piece of grass so that I can show you. Right, now what I was talking about is this. So if you have a look at the grass at the moment, you'll see that if I pull it, is lots and lots of seeds on there. Now, those seeds are what the elephant wants to eat. The elephants love seeds. They're very nutritious, and they're full of oils that they can't get from just leaves and from roots and bark. So they'll go after this, and that's why they're eating the grass quite a bit at the moment. So there you go. That's a whole bunch. Now, I was saying just now, sorry, they blew away in the wind. I was saying just now that elephants can be very dangerous, and you have to be a bit careful. And my friend Brent, who's also out on a vehicle, he's found something that has felt what it's like to be hit by an elephant.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to your very own school safari. My name is Brent, and I have my good friend David on camera. Now, I'm just going to warn you that we're going to show you something that might not be very pretty. So yesterday, a big elephant bull had a fight with a young elephant, and unfortunately for the young elephant, the big elephant managed to put its tusk through its side, and the elephant has died. So we've got the elephant over here, and it's just lying there. There's some vultures around. It happened this morning. The lions and the hyenas haven't found this elephant yet, and you can see there is the elephant. So let's just come away from it quickly. And so we're going to sit here for a little bit because there are lots of really nice birds like the vultures that come to this sighting. And I'm just going to move the car forward a little bit so you can see some of the vultures. Now, vultures are very, very important, but while we get into a spot where we can see vultures nicely, we're going to send you across to the third member of our team taking you on your safari, Taylor.
Hello everybody and welcome. I'm so excited for you to join us on this safari. My name is Taylor and behind the camera today is Sebastian. And we are looking for a leopard. Can you believe it? So Tristan, who you met first this afternoon, was with a leopard this morning. Now we're trying to find out where he's been sleeping and if he's been sleeping in the same spot. So we're looking around here. So start thinking of some questions about leopards. And hopefully in the next couple of minutes we're going to be able to find him again. So as we're driving around, I'm looking on the floor to see if I can see any footprints, because it has been a nice cool day in the northeastern corner of South Africa. So maybe he did get up. Perhaps he went for a little bit of a stroll, a Monday afternoon walk. And if he's done that, he'll definitely leave some footprints on the ground. But you had elephants with Tristan. He's still following them. And I bet he can't wait to tell you more about them.
Indeed, I love spending time with elephants and also love talking about them with all of you. So hopefully that you'll have lots and lots of questions for me. So, Adam, elephants eat a lot of food. They are animals, because they're so very big, they have these big stomachs and they have to eat a lot of food to be able to get enough to keep that big body moving. And so big female like that one, she's an old female, she'll be eating about 4 to 6% of her body weight. And what that means is that she's going to be eating close to about 400 pounds of grass and leaves and bark in a day. Can you imagine trying to eat 400 pounds? That's a lot of food to get every single day. And so that's why the elephants spend pretty much all day feeding. So they'll go throughout the day, even in the night, they're walking around grabbing trunkfuls of leaves and grasses and trying to feed on them as much as possible. So, Nathan, an elephant can be, in the females, they'll normally weigh about 4,000 kilograms, which is about 8,000 pounds, and the male elephants can be about as much as 11 to 12,000 pounds, which is very, 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 very big and very heavy. Can you imagine? Now, if Nathan, your mom has a car and her car is one of those pickup trucks, then an elephant, big male elephant, can weigh almost 3 times the size of that car. Can you believe that? That's very, very big and very heavy. Now, I apologize if you heard an aeroplane going over. There is an airstrip close by where people come all the way on holiday to try and visit these areas. So that's why there's a little aeroplane flying over us. But this is a very nice herd. They're super relaxed at the moment. So, well, these are African elephants, and there's some easy ways to tell the difference between them and the Asian counterparts. Now, what we use to tell the difference, one is where we are in the world. So we are down in the southern tip of Africa, and so the Asian elephants don't occur here. As the name suggests, African elephants in Africa and Asian elephant or Indian elephants in Asia. And so that's one reason. The other two things that are really easy to tell is just from the size. Our elephants are much bigger than the Asian elephants. African elephant is a bigger animal, and the ear on an African elephant is much bigger. If you've seen a map of the world and you go and look at a map of India, you'll see that an Asian elephant or Indian elephant, its ear looks a little bit like the map of India, whereas the African elephant's ear, because it's so much bigger, it almost looks like the shape of the African continent. And so that gives you a way to remember that Indian elephant has an ear like the size of a country, and African elephant has an ear the size of a continent, and a continent is got lots and lots of countries in it. So that's how you can remember which one has got the bigger ears. Also, you'll find on an African elephant, that it's got a smooth forehead, whereas a Indian elephant has these big bumps on its forehead, 2 big bulbs on its forehead that are like big round balls that come off. And then on the trunk, there's a difference between the Indian and the African elephant in that the African elephant has 2 little fingers on the end of its trunk, whereas the Indian only has 1 little finger. And so these guys can pick up things a lot easier than the Asian elephants. But aren't they beautiful? I think they're amazing animals. Penny elephants have been in Africa for millions of years. So it's been a very, very, very long time that they've been in Africa, and they spread from all the way from South Africa deep up to the Sahara Desert. That's about how far they used to go, across the whole continent. And unfortunately, because of the way people have grown and we've got more and more people on the world every single day, it's meant that a lot of our elephants, unfortunately, have lost their homes and their habitat, and their numbers are going down. And so we're losing a big percentage of our elephants in some countries. Here in South Africa, in this part of South Africa, in the greater Kruger National Park, we're very lucky that we've got a lot of elephants still left, but they are reducing in number quite drastically, or quite quickly, across the whole of the continent. But they have been on this continent for many, 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 many years, longer than you or I or your mommy or your daddy can even remember. Now, what you'll see is you're going to see that there's going to be a big female that's going to be in front, and then you're going to have lots of little ones behind that. And so what happens with the elephant herd is that there's no daddy that looks after the herd. It's only a mommy elephant that's in front, and she then has her young ones, as well as then any of the older females that can have little babies. They'll stay in the herd with this big adult female that we call the matriarch, and then they walk along together in a very tight group so that they keep the little babies very safe. Now, I've been sitting with these Ellies that are walking around and are enjoying their lunch, and it sounds like Brent's got something that is making lunch out of that big dead elephant.
Well, they're not at the moment. They're waiting for the other animals to come and open it up. Now, those are white-backed vultures. Now, vultures are very, very important in the African bush. They are the garbage men of the African bush. So what they do is they clean up all the rubbish, all the meat and stuff that's left over, so it doesn't get rotten, so it stops the spread of sickness and disease. Now, of course, when you've got meat sitting out in the open, you're going to get lots of insects as well. And Ryder is wondering, do we get flies? Well, the elephant carcass is still quite fresh, so there's not too many flies on it yet. But there are going to be lots and lots of flies by tomorrow. And the flies will also help break down the carcass. They will lay their eggs inside the carcass. And the baby flies, that are called maggots, will actually eat the meat. What are you seeing, Dave? Oh, he's gone. There was a vulture flying past. It is incredible how nature's systems work together, and in less than 10 days there'll be nothing left of 5,000 kilograms of elephant. If you look carefully at those vultures, you'll see they've got very strong, powerful beaks. And Abigail was asking, how do they eat? Well, they will rip and tear pieces of meat with those very strong beaks, those sharp beaks, and then they will swallow the meat. At the moment, the vultures are just doing a bit of cleaning. They're just making sure their feathers are all in the right place. Now, that's very important for vultures because they spend a lot of their time flying, so it is important for them to keep their feathers nice and clean and in the right place. Elijah, you are so clever and you are very right. Elijah, vultures are indeed called scavengers. Now, other types of animals that scavenge are hyenas, jackals, even lions and leopards will scavenge. So most animals out in the bush are what we call opportunists. So if there is an opportunity for an easy meal, they will take it. Hello, Mackenzie. Vultures can travel big distances, but they do have a home, and that's what Mackenzie was asking. And they will have a nest in the top of normally a knobthorn tree, which is a thorny tree. And the reason they like to nest in the tops of thorny trees, it's so their babies can be protected, because it's harder for other animals like snakes to climb to the tops of the very thorny trees. We're going to sit here for a little bit longer. I'm hoping the vultures are going to come down and start sitting on the elephant while we wait. Let's go across to Tristan, who's got elephants who are alive.
I do indeed, Brenty, and so it's really nice to have an elephant that is rather walking than being dead, because it's a little sad when you see an elephant being dead. They're such amazing animals that you get a bit of sadness in your heart when you see that. So, Chloe, you're asking how many elephants exist in the safari land. Well, in this part of South Africa where you can go on safari, it's called the Greater Kruger National Park. And in that area, there are currently about 18,000, plus minus 18,000 elephants within that system. So it's quite a lot of elephants, and that system is about 8 million acres. So that gives you an idea of how many are in there. But across worldwide, they reckon there's in terms of the African elephant, between 300 and 500,000 elephants across the African continent. So it's really a lot of them, but far less than there used to be. So there used to be over 1 million elephants in Africa, but lots and lots, unfortunately, have been killed, like I say, due to the fact that ivory is very, very valuable. So white oaks, yes, these elephants are very much protected. We have a situation where this area is declared a national park, and we are just on the fringe of the national park in a private reserve where nobody is allowed to come and touch these elephants. So if anybody comes here and tries to take these elephants, it's illegal, or even tries to kill them. If you kill these elephants, it is against the law, and you can go to jail for that. And so it's called poaching, and we have a very, very good anti-poaching team. So what that means is guys that are almost like the army that are here, and they look after these animals and protect them and make sure that people that want to try and hurt them are not allowed in here and don't get in here, and our elephants stay safe. So they are protected, they are looked after, and we try and make sure that we don't have any of them getting hurt by bad people that are out there. Oh, look, there's a little baby. You see that? There's a tiny little baby that's in there. How cute is that? So, Owen, no, you can't ride the elephants because, as you can see, Owen, an elephant is very dangerous. There's a dead elephant that Brent has got that was killed by another elephant. And so if you went up to an elephant, particularly an elephant like this that's got very small babies, and you tried to go towards it, that elephant is going to come towards you and probably try and hurt you because it's going to try and protect its baby. And they are so, so strong that they would kill you. So no, you cannot ride the elephants. It's also not very good for the animals to be ridden. It's not good for their backs. It's not good for them as an animal. They're not supposed to be ridden. And so we try and leave them alone, and we don't ride on them. It's not a good thing to do. And so that's why we don't do it here. And also we want the elephants to do everything that they want to do. We're just here to have a look at them and to see them and admire them, but we're not here to try and interfere or to touch or to try and disturb what they do day to day when we're not around. So no riding of elephants, no touching of the elephants. We just let them live their normal life as they go about it. But our elephants are going to disappear. But the only thing is that they're a bit naughty because these elephants have stepped all over my leopard tracks, and that's going to make tracking these leopards a little difficult. And so hopefully I'll be able to find the leopard tracks very, very soon, and we'll see if we can find this leopard for you so we can show you the best cat in the whole of Africa, in my opinion. Right, while I look for those leopard tracks, let's send you across to Taylor, who's got a feathered friend to show you.
Now, we haven't found our leopard that we've been looking for all afternoon, but we'll get there eventually. What we have found is a really cool eagle. Now, this eagle is called a tawny eagle, and it's one of the bigger ones that we get to see because, can you believe, even though it looks so small, just sitting up in this dead tree, it actually has a wingspan of over 6 foot. That's big, hey? That's the length of a doorway. Now, have a listen to all the birds and the squirrels that are shouting at this bird. How cool is that? So most of these animals are basically being very ugly to this bird, and they're telling it to go away. They don't want anything to do with it because this eagle would want to eat them. So all the animals out here speak the same language, even though they may have different accents and they sound funny, or some sound a lot different than the others. They can still understand one another, except we can't understand the animals very well, which is a pity. Otherwise it would mean that we would find them very, very easily. So all the birds, all the squirrels, they're all saying, go away, eagle, go away. We don't want you here. And like what you've seen with Brent, you've seen all the vultures going down to eat the elephant. And normally the tawny eagle and another eagle called a battalier eagle are the first ones to actually spot the kills. So they don't fly as high in the sky as the vultures do. They fly a little bit lower, searching for things too. And they will also eat off of carcasses, especially the tawny eagle. Now, seeing as though we were speaking about what this eagle eats, Malia, you've just wondered, what specifically does the tawny eagle eat? Well, their favorite food will be other birds like guinea fowl, francolins. Maybe they like to catch some rats and mice, although they've got relatively big feet, so a little rat or a mouse is not going to be a very nice meal. But what we normally see, and what I used to see them doing in Kenya, was quite funny. They were fighting the vultures and the hyenas to try and eat on those carcasses, so to eat the dead animals. They love to do that as well. But they can eat a lot of different things. You can also use birds as a windsock when they sit up on high branches like that. You can tell how windy it is. You can see his feathers are a little bit ruffled this afternoon. I wonder where our leopard has gone. I wonder if he hasn't just moved away just a little bit. So we're still looking down on the ground for any tracks and things. But quite a nice eagle to see. I haven't seen one for a long time, but we're going to carry on now to see what else we can find. Let's see what else we've got here. I did also see some baboon footprints, so maybe we get lucky and we see them too. But let's go back to Brent, who's on another property not too far away from me, and he's waiting patiently for those vultures to start eating.
Okay, well, the vultures are still up in the tree. That's why we're waiting quite patiently. You can have a look. What I'm trying to see, if you can see, there's white-backed vultures. There were some Cape vultures as well, but I can't see them at the moment. There's probably a good 70 or 80 vultures around here at the moment, but by tomorrow there could easily be 100 or so. 200 even. Oof, Nathan's asking the tough questions. Nathan, it's nearly impossible to tell the difference between male and female vultures. They are very, very similar looking. So the females are slightly bigger, but from this type of distance, it's near impossible to tell the difference between male and female of most of the vulture species. Now, at the moment, I think we only have Cape vultures and white-backed vultures around here. And that ties into what Owen's asking. Will the vultures share with the other vultures? So the Cape vulture is the biggest vulture that is here at the moment, and they will bully and chase the other vultures. But the king of the vultures is the leopard-faced vulture. And there are none of them here yet, but they might arrive. And they are the biggest and strongest vulture, and I'll show you a picture of what they look like, and they'll chase the other vultures away. So actually there's probably a few hooded vultures around as well that are the smallest of the vultures, so it could be very interesting to see what happens amongst the vultures. So, oh, here we go. They're going to come in. There's some just taken off. Hoping that they were going to come land at the elephant. That's what we've been sitting waiting very quietly for. Okay, well, we're going to wait for a little bit longer here with these vultures, and maybe I'll leave and come back a little bit later, give the vultures a chance to get more comfortable. While we do that, let's go across to Taylor, who's with a very shiny bird.
It is the shiniest of all birds out here. This is called a Burchell starling. And we get lots and lots of different types of starlings out here. I think this one might be my favorite because it's got a very long tail. And I don't know if it's looking at its reflection in the water or if it's going to have a bath. Look how beautiful that is. And there's some more flying overhead, so maybe they're going to come and join this one. Now, just like your mom always makes you have a bath, sometimes in the morning and the evening, the birds have to bath too, and they know that it's important to keep their feathers nice and clean. It also helps get rid of some of the parasites, so some of the things that feed on the blood and, well, I suppose dead skin and all things like that. How cool is that? That's so pretty. Now, Grace, you've asked how often does it rain out here? It actually doesn't rain too often because we've just coming to the end of our rainy season now, Grace. But we were lucky a few days ago we had a late downpour, which was really, really, really quite nice. So it's just flown up there, and we're going to show you what it's done next. So now it's had a little bath. You can't see it too clearly because he's hiding behind some branches. So he's had a bath now, and then he's going to clean himself even further. So he's having a scratching his head. Maybe he's got some old skin that needs to come off. Oh, there's a hammerkop. Where's it going? Off it goes. That's another bird. That's called a hammerkop. I thought it was going to come to the water as well. So, unlike ducks and geese and water birds that, yeah, you got it, that produce a type of an oil that they can put over their feathers to help keep them waterproof. These birds don't have that. So now he's got to actually dry his feathers off. It's kind of like your mom blow drying her hair. It's quite cool. We've got to work very hard and run its beak through all its feathers because there's tiny little hooks on the feathers. And in order to keep them all together so that they can fly nicely, you've got to use your beak to reline them. And then, of course, look at shaking his feathers. Shake, shake, shake. Trying to get all that water off. And as the wind is blowing, they're going to dry those feathers out nice and quickly. And then it will be flying like a superstar again. Isn't that a very pretty bird? It is nice. And that other noise you can hear, that Now, Mrs. Merce, you've asked an interesting question. Why does being shiny help the bird? Well, a lot of birds have got bright colors for different reasons. And most of the time, birds will have bright colors on them. Normally, it's the male to try and attract mates. In this case, the male and the female, the boy and the girl, have the same kind of feathers. So I reckon that doesn't have too much to do with it. And it doesn't really help it with camouflage either. Off it goes. So I'm not really sure why this bird has got those beautiful shiny feathers. I suppose it's the same reason as to why I've got blonde hair and Sebastian's got... Sebastian, what's your hair, black or brown? Grey. Sebastian says his hair is grey. Sebastian's got lots of different colours in his hair. So I suppose it's all just got to do with genetics here. That's quite cool though. And he's gone now. Oh, but at least we got to see it bathing. That was really quite nice. But some birds that live down on the ground, they've got more brown feathers, and that will help them camouflage. And then let's go around here. So I'm going to just quickly turn the vehicle, because Ethan has a question. I don't think we're going to see that starling again. It's gone up too high. We'll try to find another one. Ethan, are you wondering what do those birds eat? They eat lots of different things, hey? They eat fruits. They love to eat fruits, especially now at this time of the year. There's a couple of them on the trees. And then they also eat insects. So they'll catch butterflies and grasshoppers. And if they're quick enough, they might be able to get a dragonfly. But dragonflies fly very, very fast. And sometimes they may even eat small mammals, so like rats and mice. Sometimes they can eat them too. But the thing about birds is that most of them have quite a varied diet, and you can tell that just by looking at the bird's beak. Imagine. Oh no, that one's flown away as well. The birds don't always cooperate on camera. Some of them are a little bit shy, and then they tend to fly away. What else have we got here? A little bit quiet now. We might see some more things as we head out to the open plains, maybe some warthogs because it's starting to warm up, maybe some Impala, which is a type of an antelope, maybe some kudu, nyala, which is another type of an antelope. Okay, well, we're going to go exploring and see what else we can find. We're going to send you to Tristan, who has now arrived at another watering hole.
I am indeed. I am at a waterhole because often leopards will come to have a afternoon drink. They like to come and drink water in the afternoon, so it's a good place to come and have a little look for a leopard. But unfortunately, there's no sign of our leopard here. I lost the tracks close to where the elephants walked over the road. It looked like they might have kind of gone off the road a little bit, but the elephants were too close for me to get out and really have a proper look. So I'm waiting for the elephants to move away a bit more. And then I can go there and try and check which way she went, if she went north or south or east or west, and then I can try and see if we can track her down using our feet and try and see if she's somewhere lying in the long grass. At this time of the year it can be quite difficult with leopards because they're very, very, very well hidden in the long grass, and so you've got to be a bit kind of clever about how you do it, and you've got to have a bit of luck on your side as well. So hopefully we'll have some luck. But otherwise the dam is very, very quiet. There doesn't seem to be anything having a drink or any sort of sign of any animals, and so we're going to keep going. While we do that, Brent has got a bit more luck at the waterhole that he's at, and he seems to have something having a drink.
We do. We've got a lovely young elephant bull, about the same age as the one who died. And there we go. He's just stopped by to the waterhole for a quick drink. But he's not really serious about drinking. You can see he's just resting his trunk over his tusk. Yeah, now he's going to have a drink. No. He's just spraying the water around. Jackson is asking about the elephant's trunk, its nose, and how long it is. Jackson's probably on a big elephant bull can be as long as about 2 meters. That's a very long nose, much longer than even Pinocchio's nose. He's just playing with the water. He's not very serious about drinking. Elephants like to play. Now, Roman, elephants drink water. And that's what Roman was asking. So the elephants will drink water. So he's not that thirsty. He's blowing bubbles in his water, and I'm sure some of you guys have done that before. When you've got a straw, blow bubbles. That's what the elephant's doing. He's just having a bit of fun with the water. But we've got a whole bunch of baby Egyptian geese as well. So there we go, a little family of Egyptian geese in the water. Oh, he's off now. Mrs. B is asking, why is that elephant called a bull? Mrs. B, because it's a male. So a male elephant is called a bull, like a cow. A male cow is called a bull, and a female elephant is called a cow, and a female cow is called a cow. So a bull and a cow is to differentiate the sexes between the elephant. So a male elephant is a bull and a female elephant is a cow. Let's get a little bit closer to him. And he's wandering off. Hello, Riley. Now, we saw the elephant playing with the water a little bit there. And to answer you, Riley, yes. Elephants do swim, and they quite like swimming. Sometimes they just do it, they do it for fun. Sometimes they might have to cross a big river or something like that, but most of the time the elephants will swim for fun. They are very good swimmers. It's because they've got an inbuilt snorkel, so they can breathe when they're under the water. They just put their trunk up. Hello, you. Okay, so he's going to walk out into the open here. So he's just hiding behind the bush a little bit there. Now, Jackson was asking, how do elephants clean themselves? They don't. Jamison was asking about that. So they don't wash themselves. The rain will wash them when it rains. Let's just go forward a little bit so we can have a look at him. Hi, big boy. Now, he is in a heightened hormonal state, called must, which means he can be a little bit unpredictable. But don't worry, I'll sort him out. To you too, Mr. Elephant. So when elephants are in this heightened hormonal state, they can be a little bit unpredictable, but I'm watching his body language very carefully, and he looks fine. Hey, big boy. He's probably about 10 feet from us. Well, I'm going to sit with this Ellie and make sure he doesn't misbehave. While we do that, let's go across to Taylor, who's found an antelope.
We have. Remember I said to you, I think if we come out to the open, we will probably find some Impala. Here are the Impala. And, well, do we have some beautiful ones to show you today? Because the most impressive Impala are the boys, because look at that big set of horns he's carrying on top of his head. Now, unlike the deer, he's not going to lose those. He doesn't just get them every once a year. He has that for his whole life. Sorry, I forgot what I was saying there. He's got those horns forever. But he's not born like that. He's born with none, and then they start to grow. And what we will do is just now we'll move up a little bit further forward, and then we'll try and find you a young Impala ram so that you can see how they start off. But they're very cool. They're very busy at the moment, eating, they're hungry. They're making the most of all the green grass that's around, because we are coming into winter at the moment. And when winter comes around, all the grass is going to disappear. Now, Abby, you're wondering why? Basically, why am I doing my job? Why are we out here filming and taking pictures? Well, it's exactly that, Abby. Sebastian's a wildlife filmmaker. That's basically his title. And, well, I like to talk about animals and make people laugh and take people on safari. And I'm taking you on a safari now. So because you might not be able to come to Africa, you can just watch from home. So how cool is that? And then this way, we get to observe all these animals. We get to watch them all day and learn new things. And like I said, show people that will never, ever have the opportunity to come out on safari. But they can sit there and they can also ask us questions. So how cool is that? You don't need to have thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to come on a safari holiday. You can just put the TV on at home and watch on your couch. Popcorn, maybe some cool drink. Let's find a little boy. I think there's a little boy here. It is one, hey? I'll just go up a little bit further so we can actually see his horns. There you go. Hello, little boy. He's not interested in us, though. So there's the little Impala ram. He's going to turn into one of those big boys we saw just now. Now, you can see he's chewing at the moment. And, Abigail, you've just asked about what they eat and drink. Well, at the moment, he's chewing on a ball of probably grass and leaves. And Chloe. Chloe, you were also wondering. Sorry, Chloe, I didn't mean to leave you out. He's having a big stretch now. So what he's doing is he's got a stomach like a cow. He's got a 4-chambered stomach. So he's regurgitated. He's basically spat up all that grass that hasn't been digested properly, and now he's re-chewing it again. Disappearing now. And then he'll swallow that again, and then that will come out the other end, eventually in little pellets. So they've got a very good digestive system. And what else do they eat? Impala eat a lot of different things, which is why they are so successful out here in Africa, why they're the most successful antelope. They eat leaves, they eat grass, sometimes they nibble on fruit too, they eat seed pods. Very cool. They can eat a lot of different things. Oh, and look at that bird. What's that bird doing there? That's called an oxpecker. Now, we were talking about those birds and why they bath and how they have to get rid of parasites and keep themselves nice and clean. This is a bird that helps the animals out. It obviously can't sit on another bird, but it can sit on some of the mammal species. And it's running its beak through the hair of the impala now, and it's collecting all the little ticks, all the mites, all the larvae from the ticks. And it's probably going, delicious. But what that bird is actually feeding on is blood. And sometimes if an animal has an injury, has a wound that's bleeding, those birds can be a bit naughty. And they'll end up pecking it open, making it bleed a little bit more, which is not good. And then that's what they're eating on. So they just eat blood. They're like vampire birds, really, those oxpeckers. And there's a car. I think they're going to set up a bush dinner or something. Is that no? That's not a car. Hey, might be it is just a roof of a car. I'm not going crazy, is it? It's tables. Yes, it's tables. So guess what? There's people that are going to come and have dinner in the bush tonight. They're going to have dinner with the impala. How cool is that? And maybe some lions will walk past, or maybe a hippopotamus, and they'll hopefully sit under the stars. I hope that all the clouds disappear this evening so that the guests can have a very nice night out on safari and having their bush dinner, which is very, very cool. Now I'm looking for squirrels. Have you seen a squirrel yet, Seb? I haven't either. We've just seen a few every now and then. They're so quick, though. They run and then leap into the tree, so I'm looking for one. I'll see if I can spot you one. And speaking of things that can run and leap, the impala are really good at that too. So they can defend themselves from things like lions and leopards, which will normally want to eat them, by running away very quickly and jumping up into the air. And another way that they'll protect themselves is by using their ears. They've got very good hearing. And Josiah, you're wondering, why do those impala have those big ears? Well, there we go. That's your answer, is that a lot of animals out here rely not just on their eyesight. There's actually very few that rely on their eyesight. Impala have got very good eyesight, though. That's true. They can spot predators from very, very far away. But those ears, like you said, they're nice and long. They'll be able to hear a lion roaring from very far away, or maybe even listen to a lion as he's trying to sneak up on the impala. Maybe that lion steps on a stick or steps on a leaf and it goes crunch or crack, and then the impala will hear it. So even though they look like they're eating and they're not concentrating, they're using their nose to smell anything else around them. They're using their ears to hear, and then of course their eyes to see. So they're very, very busy at the moment, always, always, always looking over their shoulder. That's so cool, though. Chew, chew, chew. He's got a big mouthful. He doesn't chew with his mouth closed. His mom will probably be very upset with him. And soon, it's going to be very exciting out here. All those impala rams, all those boys are going to be chasing the other boys around. They're going to start fighting. They're going to start fighting for the girls. That's going to be an exciting time. Now, speaking of colorations and with the birds, I suppose the impala have got a very, very cool coloration, don't you think? To me, they look like an upside-down cappuccino, don't you think? With a white froth under their belly, then sort of the milky part, and then the coffee at the bottom. So you've got to turn them upside down. Well, not a cappuccino, a cafe latte. Yeah, that's what they are. And you know who told me that was this one little girl. She was 6 years old from Russia, and I took her on safari, and she said to me, Taylor, these antelope look like cafe lattes. And I thought that was very funny, and she told me that about 6 years ago, and I still remember it. So, Andrew, you're wondering why they have those colors. It's to help them with camouflage. So, by having different types of colors on your body, it actually helps you blend into the trees and the grass a lot better. So, by having one solid color, you actually stand out. So, something like an African buffalo that's just really black in color is very easy for a lion or a leopard to see. But an impala may be standing against some trees with some browns or some tall grass here and there. It's easy to see them now because they're out in the open, but when they move into the denser vegetation, it becomes a little bit more difficult. So it's actually helping in camouflage. It's cool though, hey? It's amazing to see. And those colors are perfect. Look at that hairline. It knows exactly where it needs to stop before it changes color. Very straight line. Straighter than I could ever draw. and that's the girl. So the girls don't get any horns. That's why it's easy to tell the difference between the boys and girls with the Impala. Oh, what just jumped? There was a kingfisher that just actually flew on down, but I think it's gone too high up in those tree now. It might be a bit difficult. Oh, no, Seb, if you go, you see those two lower branches? Yeah. If you zoom in there, the top right one, from there go up right, and then go up a little bit. Yeah, it's there. And then if you zoom in, oh, there we go, top right corner of your screen. Look, there's a kingfisher. So I'll quickly show you. Because unfortunately, we don't have much time left with all of you who have joined us from the schools today. But there we go, one last look at a beautiful woodland kingfisher eating a very, very big beetle. Perhaps it's a dung beetle. So that's a type of beetle that will eat them and go after the dung, the poo of all the animals. Can you believe it? But it's been great having all of you join us today, and I hope you don't eat your food like that woodland kingfisher does. Hopefully you take smaller bites, otherwise you might end up choking. But we'll see you next time. Remember to do all your homework. And, well, for the rest of the viewers, thank you again for joining us. We will get to your questions in a minute. My plan is to, at some point, find Tingana, and also, sure, it's bright looking behind you. It's like, it's not the sun directly, but it's glary. So I'm just going to look at the Impala. But our plan at some point is to try and find Tingana. We will, of course, be popping past Chitwa Dam as we normally do. The clouds are actually starting to let up slightly, so who knows? Maybe we'll be in for a nice sunset this evening, sometimes on the gloomiest of gloomy days. The Chitwa Dam seems to surprise us. Right, so we'll carry on looking for all sorts of other wonderful things. Remember, hashtag Safari Live if you would like to ask us questions, or you can talk to us via the YouTube chat. But off we go back to Brent, who has now left the elephant.
Well, we're going to head back to the elephant in a little while. I'm just waiting for let the vultures settle. There's been quite a lot of cars at the beginning of drive who wanted to go have a look at it. Now, I'm sure there's lots of people wondering, was that animal euthanized or did it die on its own? It died on its own. We found it just after breakfast this morning, and it died on its own. It looks like the big musk bull, who we suspect did a lot of that damage, came back and finished the job, so to speak. It's difficult to see because a lot of the wounds are on the left side of the body, and of course it's lying that side. And as strong as I am, I'm definitely not strong enough to lift up an elephant to have a look. So while we were with the kiddies, we didn't want to go too close to the carcass. It can be a little bit gruesome for 5-6 year olds if they're not used to it. Okay, so I think maybe before the vultures settle, let's go back and have a quick look, and I'll try to see if we can get in a position to show you the size of that actual tusk wound. It was quite incredible. I mean, it was like that, so a very big tusk. And there's only one elephant around who's sporting toofies like that. And that's that big musk bull that was on, that we had a little bit of a chat to on drive yesterday morning. There's actually, now we've seen there's a second musk bull around. We could actually potentially get some fighting between the bulls, which could be quite interesting. And again, that's a very dangerous situation. We've got to be very careful how we position. He was heading up towards Vulture Dam, but he's still quite a long way away. So in the meantime, let's see how Tristan's search for the elusive Shidulu is going.
Well, not going well at all. I just got back to Murphy's Law. I've just gotten back to where I started with the tracks because I didn't find any further evidence of them past where this whole block. So I think she's not far. I just don't know whether she went south or north. So I came all the way back to come and scrutinize the tracks, but now I'm with you guys, so I'm not going to be scrutinizing much at all. The last tracks I had, though, was just in this particular section here. So I think if I'm not mistaken, they cut at this termite mound. I lost the tracks completely. So there's still ones that are on the road now going in this direction, but they look as though from here they just disappear. This is the last tracks I had, was actually in this area. So what I wanted to do was just try and double check. I see one track there, and now I'm just trying to work out whether she went off the road south or did she go off the road north. She was seen this morning at about 10:30. You see there's a big track here. Hold on. Let's just double check this track. There's got a nice little puffy part here that I want to double check. And so she was seen at about 10 o'clock resting in a marula tree, and it's a bit irritating because we actually drove past there this morning and she wasn't there. She crossed in from Arethusa during the course of the morning. I don't see any tracks here or there. I just thought maybe she's a cat that loves termite mounds and trees and those kind of things. So what I'm doing is I'm just kind of driving along this path, trying to look for any sign of a track. Often you'll find with leopard, they're much like many other animals in that they'll follow path of least resistance. And so they get onto a path and they walk it. And this is a very prominent game path that we're on that comes from the area where I last saw tracks. And so what I'm thinking is that maybe she took this path and headed north, given that she came from the sort of southwest and has been going steadily northeast the whole time. I thought maybe, just maybe, she might have headed up this way. The problem is we don't have really good light for tracking as well, and so that's making it also a little bit harder. But I'm just trying to check on all the termite mounds, all the marula trees, just to see if maybe our leopard is lurking somewhere close by. I'm going to try and keep with this path for a little bit as well. Let's see. Craig, you see anything? No, Craig doesn't see anything. So we haven't spotted any sign of her yet, but maybe, just maybe, she'll be here. I checked all the way along Rebecca's on the top side just to double check if she wasn't kind of popping out on the northern side. I know she likes to go up Zoe's, Rebecca's area, sometimes towards Quarantine, but so far nothing. So Kale Swift, you just say there's just so many new leopards coming to the area. It's true, there are a lot of new leopards. It's been a bit chaotic over the course of the last few months, but I feel like with Shadulu's been coming in and out, I think, a lot more than we've even realized. I think she's one of those cats that's kind of sneaked in here, walked around quite regularly without us finding her because of the areas that she likes to walk around. A lot of it is in these western blocks, which, to be fair, we don't check nearly as much as the central and eastern sides, particularly when Tundi was around. With her little cub, we spent a lot of time kind of focused on her and didn't really focus much on this western side. And I think that's allowed Shadulu probably to come in here a lot more than we thought. So I don't know if she's as new as we think she is in terms of spending time on Djuma. I think she might have been here a lot more often than we've actually known or given her credit for, because, you know, we find tracks and we often say Shadow or Tundi, but who's to say it's not Shadulu that's been moving around in these sections? Now, the game path veers off to the left, but I can't follow it because of the number of trees that we've got. So I'm just trying to kind of go around. Now, I believe Brent has made his way back to that unfortunate scene of the dead Ellie to try and see if he can get some great vulture action. And so while we try and negotiate this thicket, let's send you back there and see what those vultures are up to.
So welcome back, everyone. I'm just going to give you a warning again that this is not for sensitive viewers. So if you are, we are going to just do a few little close-ups so I can explain what happened. And then what we're going to do is we're going to move probably 50, 60 meters away, and we're going to sit there and we're going to wait for the vultures to come down. So there we go. Here is the poor unfortunate Ellie. You can see some of the stomach has been opened. That's the softest part of an elephant's skin, and the only part the vultures have managed to open so far. So if we go right in there, Dave, and try lighten it a bit if you can. It might be quite difficult, but yeah, it's very difficult. You see where the flies are? That's where the tusk wound, the hole is, the major hole that caused that damage that we saw yesterday. Now the vultures have eaten the bits of the stomach that were hanging out, so that's where it is. And as I said, it's probably about 30-40 centimeters across. So very, very unfortunate for the Ellie, and it's just very, very strange. Sometimes it does happen with those big musk bulls. They terrorize younger bulls around. Okay, So as I said, we're not going to hang around too close for too long. I'm just going to quickly show you the front of the ellie. Now, as you'll notice that the tusks are still there. The Sabi Sands will take those tusks at some point. Hi, Francis. In Israel, Francis is asking about the tusks. Is anyone guarding this carcass till the tusks are taken out? No, it's quite safe where it is at the moment. We're quite deep within the bush, and it is very unlikely that anyone would come try to steal the tusks. It's not easy to take an elephant tusk out. It actually requires quite a lot of skill, and you've got to cut right into the bone because there's a lot of that tusk that is right in the skull. So you can see the vulture is scat or dung all over it already, and you can see how the eye has already been eaten by the vultures. So as I was saying, this elephant was not euthanized. It died from its injuries, and I think it picked up a few more injuries yesterday or last night. David's asking how long until the predators find the elephant. I'm surprised there isn't a predator yet with all the vultures that have been dropping, but it's been a relatively cool day, so there haven't been that many vultures up and about. So I think definitely this evening. I wonder if old Shadulu, she was heading in an easterly direction from there. I wonder if Shadulu arrives here. That would be a scene. I actually thought Hasana, if Hasana had seen these vultures during the day, I think Hasana would have been here. So I wonder where he is that he didn't spot all the vultures dropping down. So we're just going to play the patience game now. We're going to sit here, this distance from the elephant, and wait for the vultures to come back down and just sit quietly. And you never know, lions might arrive, leopard might arrive, hyena might arrive. I've seen all sorts of strange things on elephant carcasses, such as honey badgers feeding on elephant carcasses, genets. So you never know what might arrive at such a rich resource as a dead elephant. And basically, for a lot of the scavengers and other predators, if they find this early enough, it's like winning the jackpot. I mean, a huge amount of meat for no effort. But of course, the more well-known the carcass becomes, the bigger competition happens around it. So who knows, we might get some absolutely astounding stuff around this elephant carcass over the next 5 or 6 days. Lions, hyenas, leopards, who knows? It's going to be very interesting to watch. It's also a really good time because we're going to be able to see how long it takes an elephant carcass to pretty much disappear. So how long do you take? I think, why don't we have some bets going here? There we go. Bree, the vultures aren't going to be able to finish the carcass, which is what Bree was answering, because until some of the other bigger predators arrive, they're not going to be able to actually open up some of the areas of the thick skin. They're going to need lions and hyenas to do that. Now, let's have a little bet. How long do we think it's going to take for this carcass to just be bones? I say 5 days. I say 5 days. What do you say? Hashtag Safari Live. How long do you think it's going to be for this carcass to turn into just bones, picked clean by the scavengers and predators? There we go. Isn't that? It is such a sad scene, but that elephant will provide a lot of food for a lot of different animals, all the way from the insects, the flies, the maggots, the carrion beetles, the vultures. I'm hoping lion, hyena, and leopard as well. Now, you would have seen the ellies on the dam cam a little bit earlier, including that big musk bull. Equalizer is wondering about the distance between this ellie and the dam cam. It's quite far. We're right, we're almost, we're just to the west of Twin Dams itself. Let me actually show you on the map. Okay. So, let me get a piece of glass. Yep. So the dam cam is there. And we are here. So quite a long way. Couple of kilometers. That's actually, Rebecca noticed something here. There is a road called Elephant Carcass from another dead elephant quite a while ago, before our time, Elephant Carcass Road. But yeah, we're to the south of Elephant Carcass Road and just to the west of Twin Dams down there. Well, it sounds like something's afoot, because Taylor's made it to Chitwa, but no one's sure what she's doing.
I feel like we've been here the entire time, Brent. Anyways, we don't have any good news just yet, and you can see I'm driving slowly for a change. And that's because we're trying to figure out where Tingana's gone. So I was speaking to Dylan, Brent's brother, and he said that his tracker had actually seen Tingana at the pan behind us, at Wilbur the warthog's favourite pan. I can't see any tracks around there, but there's lots of grass and the animal pathways are quite hard. So we're just having a scratch, because then Dylan said to me they just picked up some other tracks coming from Little Gowrie coming this way. So we're just checking exceptionally carefully along here to see where on earth these leopards are, and well, we want to find out who has been here. But it's proving to be a little bit difficult this afternoon. So he's just up ahead of us. Let's just have a little look here. This is nice and sandy. My goodness, right, we're not having luck. Let's go back, because I want to check super carefully. Now, Erin, welcome. You're a newish viewer. Great to have you on board. Thank you for asking questions. You're asking how often, do we see leopard? We see leopard. We're fairly lucky, actually, in fact, with the amount of times we see it. But Tristan had Tingana this morning, which used to be the dominant male leopard in this area. Godel on the Game Drive radio. Sorry, confirm you say he was not in the same spot? Okay, copy, thanks. I'll keep scratching around here. I still haven't seen any tracks. Okay, there we go. Ooh, Rebecca. Rebecca. Wrong radio, girl. I'm teasing Rebecca, who's directing today. She's telling me what I'm doing. It's good, though, because I sometimes forget, so I kind of needed that. So, yes, Erin, we actually do see leopards every now and then. So, this is my Game Drive radio. This is the radio that I normally use to talk to Rebecca, or whoever's directing the show. So, I was just on the Game Drive radio to Dylan, and he said that he's going to go check behind the dam wall and have a little look. That's one of Tingana's favourite spots. I still have not seen a footprint of a leopard, so I want to try and get up to this dam, drive right into it, and see if we can't see if he did come for a drink, perhaps. You see there's mud wallows here too. There's lots and lots of spots at the moment that the leopards could be drinking. So let's see if Tingana got his feet wet. We'll go to the edge here. Seb, you can actually see better off that end. Can't see anything. Is it quite hard? No tracks just yet, so we'll check the next little bit. So there's a part of the mud wallow. This is the big pan, though. And I would imagine if I was a leopard, this is where I would come and drink, because I don't think I'd have to get my feet too muddy. So I'm going to ask Seb to kindly look as we drive along the edge there. Nothing. I didn't think there was anything. Sneaky cat. And there's lots of soft sand around here too, so it's a bit strange that I can't see it. Perhaps he just didn't want to leave any footprints behind, which the leopards are pretty good at doing as well. They tend to be able to jump roads. I wonder if Tingana didn't see those vultures. Actually, Seb, you can see that reflection of the car down there, hey? So this is where Tingana was last seen, and we're going to show you. You can even see, look at the glimmer of light in the distance. That is the reflection of a vehicle that is where the elephant carcass is. The other thing that could have happened is that Tingana could have come walking around this way because he saw the vultures diving down from the sky back down towards that elephant carcass, and that's going to attract predators. So he could well be in that area. So Brent could have had a very exciting afternoon and having many, many different cat species popping on the property to say hello. So quite cool, very, very cool in fact. We're going to keep scratching around here. So maybe if Brent doesn't get much action at the carcass, he can come and actually check between where he is and Cheetah Cutline. And maybe he'll get lucky and pick up on Tingana. Anyways, we'll keep scratching on Chitwa though. Perhaps we'll pop down to the dam to see what's happening. Off you go to Tristan, who's also doing a bit of leopard searching.
And look what we've just found. This is so cool. So our tracking and just following where she went off is paid dividends because she's in the tree right here above us. That was very cool. I only just spotted her right now. Hello, girl. This is nice to see you. It's been a while since I've seen her, so really nice to see her. There she is, dangling with her limbs down from the tree, tail in the area as well, over the branch, and making herself as comfortable could be. So what a nice surprise to have her kind of just sitting up there. And she's a good leopard for this. She often is in trees or on termite mounds. And so basically what we did is we just off-roaded from termite mound to termite mound, following the tracks that she was leaving behind. And eventually we got to a point where I lost the tracks, but I just kind of thought, well, we'll keep going on the pathways and the termite mounds as they go. And there she is right there in a tree close to us. So that was a good lucky find for us, and I'm super excited that we've managed to get her. She's just taking it very, very easy, and it sounds like she's had a really busy couple days. She's made 2 different kills over the past couple days. She's been chased off by hyenas. Apparently she had an altercation with wild dogs, and so she's been really, really busy. And you can see, look at the size of her stomach, and that gives away the fact that she's been on 2 different kills over the last little bit. And I'm actually really keen to see her walking. And I'll tell you why I'm keen to see her walking, is because she mated extensively with Hukumuri, and there's a possibility that maybe, just maybe, there could be signs of her even being pregnant, which would be quite amazing. Now, while we sit and kind of enjoy the fact that we've managed to find this leopard, apparently Brent has got a really interesting scene unfolding, so let's jump across to him.
Well, a lot of you were wondering, would other elephants come round to inspect the carcass? And indeed they are. So it looks like 2 young bulls. So I'm just keeping quiet. I'm trying to listen to if there's some grumbling. They're not actually touching the carcass, and they are looking a little bit nervous. They are very, very young bulls, sort of teenagers. Now, there's a lot of different theories about elephants. I think they might just move past this injured elephant, but we're going to have to wait to see what happens. We are going to do a quick Facebook live, so just everyone, I might keep quiet for a little bit. Good afternoon and welcome to the Sabi Sands in South Africa. My name is Brent Leo Smith. I've got my good friend David on camera, and we are seeing something you don't get to see very often, and that is elephants inspecting the carcass of another elephant. That elephant that's dead was killed by a really big elephant bull this morning in a fight, and he's died from the injuries that happened. So a tusk went under his armpit and into his vital organs, and that's what's the main injury that killed this young elephant bull, who's probably around 25, 26. Now we've just had 2 sort of teenage elephants, and they've arrived to come inspect the carcass. Now if you have any questions, please pop them on the feed below. I'd love to hear from you. So out of the two, one elephant is definitely showing a lot more interest. But there we go. So the one with the short tail is showing quite a bit more interest in the carcass. Now, there's lots of different theories about why elephants will visit carcasses of different elephants. A lot of people think it could be mourning and stuff like that. I personally, from my witnessing, I don't think it's mourning at all. I think it's more curiosity. And you can see they haven't been here very long. They've been here less than 5 minutes, and they're already moving off and starting to feed on the grasses as they go. Now, if there had been hyenas or lions here, the elephant's behavior would have been very different, and they would have chased the predators off the carcass. Now, hello, Nancy. Nancy's wondering, how often are elephants killed by other elephants? And not that often, Nancy. It's quite rare. So this is a very, very special thing to see. It's not something we see very often. And you can see he died this morning probably around 8 o'clock. We saw him yesterday carrying that wound. And a massive carcass like this will produce a huge amount of food for vultures, for elephants, for lions, for hyenas. And at the moment there are a lot of vultures around, but the skin of that elephant is so thick that the vultures are unable to open up the carcass, so they're waiting for the lions and hyenas to arrive to open up the carcass. Now, it's a young elephant bull, probably I'd say between 25 and 30 years old, that was killed by a much bigger bull, probably around 40 years old. The big bull was in must. Must is a heightened hormonal stage that African bull elephants have when they are wanting to mate. So they've got lots of testosterone, and they can be quite unpredictable and aggressive when they are in that state. So there's some vultures in the tree, and we're going to sit here patiently. I'm hoping the vultures will come down and start feeding on the carcass, or you never know, a hyena or a lion or even a leopard might see the vultures and come inspect this carcass and maybe even start feeding on it. Now, on the carcass itself, we saw lots of little white spots. Julius was asking about those white spots on the elephant carcass. What are they from? That's vulture dung. So the vultures defecated on the carcass. Oh, there's an elephant coming back towards the carcass, Dave. So one of the elephants has moved off, and now there's a second ellie moving back towards. It's the same one with the short tail. Noriko is asking about the smell. Does the carcass smell? Not too badly yet, Noriko. As I said, it's quite a fresh carcass. It hasn't been that hot today. It smells like meat and undigested grass, so probably a bit like a butchery or an abattoir. But no, it doesn't smell very bad yet. So we've parked quite a distance away because we don't want to disturb what's going on. We want the vultures to come down, and you can see this elephant. As I said, look, to me it's more like curiosity. You can see, there we go, he's sniffing the skull now. There is actually a wound in that area where the elephant is sniffing that we can't see. So there is actually a wound behind the ear there that the elephant is smelling. James is asking about the tusks. James, the tusks will be removed by the park rangers and put into a safe. Now, there's actually quite a lot of blood on his tusks, and that right tusk is almost loose in the socket. So from the fight with the other bull, who was a lot bigger than him and a lot stronger. There's more elephants coming slowly from behind us. I'll let you know when they get closer, Dave. Michelle, you're spot on. It is a young elephant bull, another male inspecting the dead one, who is also an elephant bull. So young elephant bulls of that age, the sort of teenagers, will often hang out in little bachelor groups, because until they're about 30, they're actually unable to challenge for breeding rights. The bigger bulls will bully them and chase them, but very seldom actually kill them. So this is a very unusual situation. Now we've got another little teenager coming into our left, who I actually know this elephant quite well. I've seen this elephant quite a few times over the years, this little boy here. So there's 3 little boys, all about the same age, that hang out together, and those are the ones who are inspecting this carcass at the moment. You can see the trunk's up, you can smell the carcass, and he's just going down. As I say, I think it's more curiosity than mourning. No, I've seen some very strange things around elephant carcasses with elephants. I've even seen an elephant attack a dead elephant that's already been killed. So the elephant that was sniffing the carcass had a bit of moisture around its trunk. Nancy, it's just the I suppose the mucous membranes from its nose that's showing the moisture in its trunk. So now we've got the 3 little boys around the carcass. It's going to be interesting to see how long they stay, or they're going to move off. Lots of sniffing. Mary's asking, could they be related? It's a possibility, Mary. It's very difficult to tell, but probably not. But it is a possibility that they could be related. Very, very special scenes. Not something you get to see very often. I've only ever seen it a handful of times in my life, and I've been living in the African bush since I was 4 years old. So it's the first time I've seen it in this part of Africa. I've seen it quite a few times in northern Botswana. The one with the short tail, that's his trunk there, seems to be far more interested in the carcass than the other 2. Those 2 look like they're having a little conversation. Hi, Lo Pradan would like a recap of what happened. So yesterday afternoon on safari, we found that elephant. He had a gaping wound under his left armpit where a big elephant bull had stabbed him with his tusk. He wasn't very well. We tried to find him again this morning on safari, but we had no luck. And then we found him after the safari this morning, and he had already died from those injuries. It looked like that big elephant bull caught up with him again and carried on beating him. So fortunately or unfortunately, it was a relatively quick death. So it's very sad to see this, but it is nature at its most raw and its most true. So this is a natural death. That elephant was killed by another elephant. We're going to sit here for a little bit longer, see what else transpires. If you want to see how the story unfolds, you can join us on YouTube. Just type in Safari Live. But for now, from David and myself, hopefully we'll see you on YouTube in a little while. Okay, so it is a very interesting scene. I mean, the one Ellie is already munching off to the right, and that elephant showed very little interest in the carcass, but the one with the stumpy tail has shown the most interest in the carcass. There you go, it's the same one there, sniffing again. Oh, but it sounds like our spotted cat sightings are hotting up. Let's go across to Taylor.
How exciting is this afternoon safari? First off, of course, Brent, what an incredible elephant interaction. Very, very cool. I'm kind of envious, but I bet you're all happy to see Mr. T, who is looking a little bit on the thin side, with plenty ticks covering his body, and, well, a slightly shaggy coat, but he is an older fella. But as most of you know, that posture that he's in at the moment means one thing, and one thing only. He's seen something. But the only problem is that the direction that he's looking is straight into the lodge. But we know Tingana likes to chase the waterbuck, Nyala, Impala, bushbuck, whoever moves around there. So we might have a chance to actually see him on the go. There were a couple of female waterbuck with their youngsters actually quite close by, and then I heard Dylan say he could see some Nyala bulls fighting. They're going to be heavily distracted and probably be quite a good target. He's thinking very, very hard about his next move at the moment. And he's slightly underweight. We haven't seen him with a big meal for quite some time. The last time we saw him was actually nibbling on a terrapin, which is not exactly a sufficient meal for a fully grown leopard of his size. Now, as he's been walking, he seems to be limping slightly. Seb, did we see which foot it was? Do you think front right? So that one that we're looking at now. Maybe he was racing around, perhaps he's jarred it all. Maybe it's something as simple as a little thorn in between the pads of his toes. But let me tell you, when that adrenaline fills and he's got some prey in sight, he's not going to worry about a little limp. Now, James, you're very excited to see Tingana. I bet you all are. I love seeing him. Remember, he is an older fella now. He's 12, if I'm not mistaken. So we need to really, really appreciate the time that we spend with this cat, because he's moving on. Like Tristan said this morning, this is kind of his retirement village here at Chitwa, and why would you want to leave? We've got a great swimming pool, and that swimming pool brings lots and lots of animals down, which give him a good chance to catch something. And of course, the watered grass in front of the lodge, well, the warthogs will come on in, especially now during the drier months. There's going to be a lot of game around Chitwa Dam. Very nice. Very, very cool. Just sitting there. Look at that tail. All stretched out. Just the end of the tail curved up. And watch that. It's like his brain. I always love it when a leopard is planning his next move. You can see they twitch it slightly, like deciding on what they're going to do. But he's not going to make any sudden moves. He's a clever cat. He's got a lot of experience. He knows that if he races on in, he could ruin his opportunity to catch something. And unfortunately, leopards and lions are not the most successful when it comes to hunting. So he's going to take a chance and just observe, listen, smell, see what his best route is. And I think that's what he's doing now. He's sort of mapping things out in his mind as to what's going on. Now, we're very spoiled today, of course. We've got an afternoon filled with rosettes because Tristan, of course, is sitting with Shidulu. Let's go and see if she's on the move, or perhaps she's just having a relaxing Monday afternoon.
She is still in complete relax mode, Taylor. She's taking it as easy as possible. I think she's taken a leaf out of Tingana's book because he's been in full chill mode the last few days as well. But she's just kind of sitting in the tree taking a rest, and I think she'll come down just now and maybe start to try and look for some food. She's in a good place for hunting. It's a great little area, lots and lots of duiker and steenbok in this section. Also find lots of kudus, young kudus in here, and so it's a good area for hunting. We find a lot of our leopards have spent time in this section. I've seen both Shadow, Tundi, Hukumuri, Tingana, Tamba, Hosana, Shongile, all of them inside this block hunting before. So it's a good area and lots of potential prey animals for them to go after. It's also a nice thick block. There's a little bit of a drainage line that runs on our northern side, and so the perfect place for a leopard to hide out should it want to try and kind of hunt. So Stacey, asking what is the best way to ID a leopard in a photograph. Now, Stacey, I'm going to answer your question now. I just need to answer Tax quickly. Yeah, Tax, I can hear you. If you just keep coming a little bit more to your east, you'll find me here. So I just want to try help Tax just find where I am. And the thing is with finding out an ID on a leopard, the best possible way to do it is to use sort of significant spots that are very unique and stand out. And that differs for everybody. Some people will use a certain spot that they just see immediately, and others will use other ones. But normally what we use is the spot patterns above the whiskers. If it's a frontal shot, if it's on its face, then on a side shot like this, let's say hypothetically we weren't sure who this leopard was, then you'll use any spots along the neck area, the shoulders, anything there that is kind of very unique to that cat. Throughout their body, they have different spots to other leopards, but there'll be some spots that are a little bit different. And if you take Tingana, for example, he has a smiley face on his shoulder, and maybe Taylor can show all of us the smiley face. I'm not sure if Shadulu's got anything like that. We haven't spent enough time with her to work out any little smiley faces or anything like that. Tumba has got a little heart. I think it's Tumba or Hosanna, one of the two of them, has got a heart on their shoulders that somebody showed me the other day. But generally, we use their facial features is normally what we use. So the spot patterns above the whiskers or the little bars above the eye and little sort of ear markings or anything like that. But that's how you would typically ID a leopard in photos. Good. Now, our Shadulu is, I'm sure, going to wake up at some point. For now, we're just going to enjoy the fact that we have her and that we can relax with the leopard. And while we do that, let's go back across to that fascinating scene with Brent.
It is very, very fascinating. Now, all three young bulls have congregated around the carcass. You can see the one's picking up the elephant's ear. Now, there's a tusk wound behind that ear from the fight. You can see smelling over the eye, and the vultures have already removed the eye, and it looks like there's a breeding herd also coming in from behind. I'm not sure if they're going to come here, but there are more elephants off behind there. And you can just, if you go off to the right a little bit, that termite mound is there. See, there's a whole bunch more elephants there. This is just absolutely fascinating. That's one of the reasons that Dave and I have decided we're going to just sit here for the whole drive to see what happens. And when we were expecting to get incredible vultures and hyenas, but we weren't really expecting something as special and as rare as this. Now, the very interesting thing is that it's been completely silent. I haven't heard any low rumbles. Of course, elephants can communicate in frequencies much lower than the human ear can hear, but I haven't heard any rumbles whatsoever. Oh, there's a big bull there. I'm just going to get my binoculars. I just want to see if it's the same big bull who actually caused this injury. Now, just remember, it's probably quite difficult to watch for some of you, and it is a difficult sighting. It's never nice to see an elephant die. Now, of course, as soon as I get my binoculars out to try and look at the big elephant bull, the other one is blocking. You might hear directly behind us a greater honey guide has figured out that we're here and is trying to lure us. Where's he gone? He sounds very close. He's trying to lure us away from the elephant to go find the honey. But I'm afraid, honey guide, we're going to stick with the Ellies. Now, that is a big bull down there, but I don't think it's the same. It's not. It's not the big musk bull who's been terrorizing all the elephants on Djuma. Oh, look at that. This is an incredibly interesting sighting. I wonder what's going through their minds. Now, these little eddies came up with their trunks up smelling. So Mauricia was asking, did they pick up the scent or did they find it randomly? I think they picked up the scent, Mauricia. And they came in from the area that the wind was blowing. I'm just keeping quiet to try to see if I can hear any communications, any grumbles from those eddies there. Now, I'm keeping my distance from the sighting because in these situations, you never quite know what's going to happen. So it's always better to have a little bit of distance and just watch from afar. If we're a bit closer, you don't know how the other eddies are going to react. There we go. What are they up to now? I see it. One's picking up a stick. Just put it down again now. So I can hear a big sort of sniffs from that Ellie who's there now. What's he doing with his foot, Dave? Can you see? He's kicking the trunk. Now, a little bit earlier, one was actually standing on the tusk and put its foot right up on the tusk. Now, I'm fascinated to see if the rest of those ellies in the distance are going to come here. Now, as I say, I was wondering the exact same thing as Lara Moore and MJ, which is, will that breeding herd at the back come and visit the carcass, or will just these three young teenagers? And there we go. See, he's putting his foot up on the elephant's skull again. They were doing that a little bit earlier as well. And sniffing around the mouth. I think it'd be quite fascinating if that big bull comes here. And it's not the bull that is the culprit. We're pretty sure, well, pretty sure which bull it was. It was that one that was on the dam cam at the start of drive. As I said, if there were lions or hyenas on this carcass, or even the vultures, the elephants would often chase off the scavengers and predators, and that's what Michelle was asking. Is it instinct, even though it's dead? I think yes, Michelle. I think it is instinct to try push predators away. Even if they were on a buffalo carcass, they would do the same thing. They would chase the predators away. Now, the wind's sort of swirling around a bit, and it doesn't look like those eddies in the distance are actually coming here. So it just looks like the teenagers. The eddies in the distance seem to be carrying on with their own affairs, but there is another one there, a little bit closer. One other couple, actually. But they don't... Oh, maybe they're going to come. There's another one there. So there's a breeding herd, females with young as well, not too far off behind. But they haven't come towards the carcass, and I mean, we've been here and close to here the whole afternoon. There we go. You can see that he's almost using that tusk to scratch his foot. mean, this is stuff you just don't see. But it sounds like Shidulu is up on the move, but don't worry, Dave and I are not going to move a muscle. We're going to see what happens here at this elephant carcass.
So she did wake up, and she stood up and just turned around and is now facing the opposite direction, and is at least slowly but surely starting to get into a sort of situation where she's looking around and checking if there's any potential signs for sort of food or anything like that. The sun is starting to go down a little bit, and it's gotten a lot cooler. There's this cool breeze that's blowing, and so maybe she's decided enough lounging about for the day. It's now time to get up and start moving around. And although, as I say that, she gets herself a little bit more comfortable and kind of gets her feet all untangled, and it looks as though she's watching something to the north. She's quite twitchy in the way that she's looking that way, so I don't know if maybe there's something she's spotted, because she got up and she was very relaxed. She was just grooming herself and taking it easy, and all of a sudden she turned around and she's looking very intently northwards at the moment, so we'll just have to see. But she is seriously a beautiful cat, and a large girl. I forget how big she is when you don't see her for a while, and she's got a bit of a different coat color to the girls that we see here. I find that she's much like Hukumuri, got a very rich gold color to it, and more gold than actually yellow, or orange, should I say, than yellow. We find that Tundi and Shadow, Tingana, they've got more kind of yellowish coats than what she does. So it's an interesting that there's a slight differences within these genetic kind of codes, but she's seriously a beautiful cat, and a good addition to this area. As much as it's sad that we're not seeing Shadow in the normal sections that we see her, this female is not a bad female to have around. She's, a young individual, which means that hopefully we should see her for the coming years, and she's an individual that hasn't even had her first litter of cubs yet, so she could potentially start thinking about having cubs, and maybe she's going to even have cubs on our side, which would be quite something. I somehow doubt it, though. I feel like if she is going to have cubs, they're going to be right in the middle of her territory, which would be around Arathusa, but it's very possible that she might even come this side. Stacey, I don't know. I haven't seen her standing up long enough to actually really double check. It was such a kind of quick thing when she turned around and lay back down that I didn't get a chance to really look, but I see she's yawning again, which might be an indication that she's going to maybe stand up and start coming down the tree and moving. But look at that. Isn't she beautiful? I think she's a fantastic cat. And like I say, we've inherited a really good individual in this area, and a bit of new genetics is not the worst thing either. But it's difficult. Once she stands up properly and we see her kind of coming down, and I can actually get a proper look at that stomach, maybe we'll be able to work out if indeed she is pregnant and maybe has little cubs. It's always very tough with leopards to work it out in the first kind of month that they're pregnant. You have a situation where they don't show very well for that first month, particularly young females when they get their first litter. Then you have a situation where they generally just have one, and they don't show until really late. It's like Tundi. We saw her kind of starting to show, and then all of a sudden she had a cub. So it just goes to show when they have the smaller litters, they don't show quite as quickly. But hopefully she'll have a big litter for us. A 2 or a 3 would be amazing. Funny enough, actually a friend of mine that lives a little bit further north of us in Palabor, which is a part just off the edge of the Kruger National Park, he sent me some photos this week of a leopardess who's got 4 cubs. So if you're ever wondering if leopards can have 4 cubs, they can. Generally, we don't see it, and I have personally never seen 4 cubs to a leopard, but this particular leopardess has got 4 cubs, and the interesting situation about it is that leopardess is outside of the Kruger National Park in an area that's a big mine, and the mine area is wild, but it has very few other predators. So no hyena, no lions, really. I mean, there's lions that come in every now and then, but maybe that's got something to do with the reason why she's got such a big litter and is able to provide for such a large litter. It's an interesting school of thought. Dale, in terms of her lineage, in terms of full lineage, no, we don't know too much about her. Her mother is the Ingrid Dam female, and she comes off an area on Ottawa, where Scott and Brent and myself have all driven around, and that area is very seldom utilized. It's an area where only 2 vehicles can traverse, and it's an area that's probably about 4 times the size of Djuma, to give you an idea of just how big it is. And so, she's not seen that often, and I don't think anyone actually knows who her mother is. And then in terms of her father is in all likelihood either is Anderson, that's who we think is the father of this particular female. It could have been Tingana, given the age of this female, but in all likelihood, I would think Anderson would be the one that we would be probably looking at. He would have been dominant just around the time that she was born, particularly where she's from. She's a little bit further southwest of where Anderson eventually sort of settled up. So he came from that kind of general vicinity. Anyway, we'll keep going with her. I'm sure she's going to start waking up. She seems a little bit more twitchy than what she was earlier. And so while we wait for her, let's send you back to the double T's and see what Tingana's up to.
Maurice, I told you not to get into camera frame. He doesn't listen. Sorry about that, everybody. Oh, I'm going to have to put him away for a while. He's become very arrogant after this morning's elephant sighting. But yes, I can't believe Rebecca has just called me T&T, Tingana and Taylor. I feel like I've been called lots of things. I've never been called Dynamite before. Felt like Dynamite comes in small packages. That's what we normally call Kirsten, who's on holiday today. I thought I'd just bring her name into it. See, I don't tease Rebecca as much. I tease Kirsten more, the fiery ice queen. Anyways, Tingana's, as you can see, relaxing slightly. Rebecca says the reason why I don't tease her as much is because she won't let me get away with it, or whatever. I just won't come back. I'll just stay out and drive the whole time, and then I can say what I want. But so those Inyala bulls were actually having a bit of a standoff, and as most of you know, Inyala aren't particularly aggressive animals, and they do the most amazing dance when they try to show dominance. So they were really distracted with one another. So that's what they were doing. And I wonder if Tingana is actually just sitting here. He's almost in exactly the same spot we had him when we had the guinea fowl, that weren't too far away from him. Do you remember that? And those guinea fowl were shouting away. They were really upset with him, in fact. And he was not having any of it. He was sort of growling a little bit. And I bet he's just waiting for those, either the waterbuck or the Inyala, to move off into the thicket, because he hasn't got much cover out in the open. I mean, even if he were to do what leopards can do best and leopard crawl, he can creep his body as low down to the ground as he likes. I reckon that he'd still be spotted. But you'll see he hasn't lost focus. Oh my goodness, that Nyala's behind the car. Sebastian? That's crazy. Have a little look here. Just over there. That's one of them. There's Dylan. Oh, hang on. Hang on. There goes the Inyala. There's Dylan. Everybody wave to Dylan. There's Matt and Lisa as well. Matt and Lisa, say hello. Look, we were talking about them. They brought us all the chocolate and the coffee and the apple juice. There we go. What are you? There we go. Now you can all look at Dylan. I think we should zoom right into Dylan's face and make him feel really awkward because he was taking pictures. Yay! Love making people feel awkward. You wait. Oh, the Inyala's gone now. Okay, well, the Inyala's moving away. And Tingana's seen him, though. He's looking behind us. Perhaps Tingana's going to make a slip between Dylan and I and come creeping on past us. See how he's laying very still. He doesn't want to move now. He wants to keep as still as possible until he knows that that Inyala is further enough away that he can make a move. Come on, Tingana. Don't leave us hanging now. Oh, my goodness. Now, there's another person that's just arrived in the sighting. Shall we show you Ryan? Because Ryan... Look at Ryan. Ryan, wave. Ryan, you have to wave. There's Ryan. Because he always pulls faces at me and tries to make me laugh in a sighting. So there's Ryan. But we'll look at Tingana now. So now you're meeting all our friends. There we go. Ryan's going to probably kill me the next time I see him out. I'm having the greatest day ever because I promise you. Remember how I told you the other day, while Tingana's have a nap. I suppose we might as well talk about a couple of other things. Is that the biggest joke in the northern Sabi Sand is that how can we make the Safari Live presenters laugh while they're alive? People, they're doing this. I don't even know what else. Some things I can't show you, the inappropriate things they do to us, but they do. And we know we're just so professional. So professional, we can just keep it together all the time. Not really, not me. I'm talking about the other presenters. Tristan's the best, though. We got Peter the other day. Remember, I gave him a biscuit. So now I'm just showing you all the culprits on the property. And if we do socialize, these are the guys that, of course, we will go out with. But yes, it'll probably be a hot topic next time we all see one another. So there we go. But he couldn't do anything naughty this time. So So Ryan works at Arathusa. He's the head guide there, in case you were wondering. Tingana, you don't seem to be interested in an Nyala snack, do you? Nah. They closed his eyes now, having a nap. He's getting old. Oh, no. I mean, Tingana doesn't look too out of shape. He's a bit on the thin side. And First Lady, you're wondering if I think that he's perhaps sick. I don't think so. He was sick, so maybe he's still recovering. Nobody really knows what was wrong with him. But he does have a little injury on his paw. And, of course, this is normal, though. This is just one of those things, as that big cats or any of the animals can hurt themselves quite easily. And especially if you are out hunting. Imagine he was running about and he tried to chase something and he stood in a hole. He stood on his paw funny. He could have jarred a joint. He could have stood in a thorn. Like I said, he does look a bit scruffy. So it doesn't actually look like he's really given himself a good clean. He's older, guys. I think we need to cut this poor cat a little bit of slack. And Mike, I can just talk about watching all the dogs that I've had over the years, and most of you have had pets know. Not that Tingana's a pet, please don't get me wrong, but as they start to get older, they start to sleep a little bit more. And I think Tingana's definitely doing that. Yes, he's a bit thin, which is not ideal with his age, but all he needs is one meal. One meal will fix him. So, we'll just have to really wait and see. Hopefully he does, of course, catch something. I think it would be quite cool if he maybe went for one of those young waterbuck. I think that would be a good meal, something that's not too big and should be fairly easy to take down, an inexperienced waterbuck. Right, off we go to Brent. The herd of elephants seems to have moved off. I wonder what's going to wander on through next.
Well, they're not too far away from the Carcass, but they are just feeding. The big herd has moved off. The young boys are still within the vicinity, but they seem to have lost interest in the Carcass itself. And so we're going to sit here for the afternoon just to see what might happen next. Now, the Ellies being around is keeping the vultures away and up in the trees. And even if there was a leopard or hyena, while those elephants are close by, and they will probably keep their distance. So there's a lot of vultures in all the trees all around. Keeping their distance. Now it looks like those young bulls are slowly moving off. There's only two of them. The third one is already gone. The Sabi Sands are coming to collect the tusks at some point, and Cape Turtle Dove is asking whether they will send in researchers to have a look at this carcass. Probably not. I mean, it is uncommon, but it's not rare, and it is a natural death, and the cause of death is quite obvious, the tusk wound from another elephant. So no, I don't think they're going to send any researchers in to do any research on this carcass. Oh, it sounds like Shadulu might be coming down the tree. Let's go have a look.
Okay, copy that, thanks. Well, I think she's going to come down the tree. Sorry, I was just on the radio now, just chatting to some people and making sure they know what's going on. But I think she's a situation where she's probably going to be coming down the tree fairly soon. She's kind of looking around a lot. She gets up, she stares, she comes down a little bit, gets up and stares. And you can see, look how twitchy she is. I wonder if she hasn't spotted something from up there that she thinks she's going to go and hunt now. That's what I think is going to happen. Hopefully she's going to come down, and there's a little ledge that I'm kind of hoping she's going to sit on and stay on for a little bit for us. There she comes down, and look how she disappears once she's down. Isn't that incredible? So she's going to probably scent mark there by the looks of things. There we go. See, she's scraping her back legs and scenting, so she's claiming this as her own territory. Now, we're going to have to try and keep up with her because this area is very, very dense and very, very thick, and so it's going to be tough if we don't stay right behind her. So I'm going to try and quickly just get into a situation where we're a little bit comfortable. Now, somebody else is calling me on the radio, so I'm just going to quickly answer them. Yeah, go ahead, Charles. Sorry about that, guys. I just got to quickly let these guys know. Yeah, AFM, more than welcome. We are now mobile north towards this drainage line. I think the best bet is maybe just come on to Philemon's, try and find my vehicle tracks, and then just head north. So there we go. We've just tried to get somebody else into a sighting, and all I can smell is popcorn and, well, leopard urine, which is just like popcorn anyway. Good. Now we're going to try catch up with Shadulu. She's already gotten quite far ahead of us, and while we do that, let's send you back across to Taylor, who seems as though she's having a social Monday with all the other guides at Chitwa.
I am, and what a better way, of course, to be surrounded by all these men, including the most handsome one here, Tingana. I'm trying to say it loud enough so they can all hear me and pull faces. Now, obviously we know that there's a bit of a shake-up at the moment with the leopards, and Tingana seems to spend most of his time at Chitwa now, which is perfect. Hosana pops on through every now and then, and actually it seems as though Tingana is not bothered by Hosana's presence. He just sort of lets him be. And to be honest, I think that Hosana enjoys the company. He's a very social cat for some bizarre reason. I hope we get to see him again soon. I think he may actually be on Chitwa at the moment. So what I was going to say about that is that it's very important that we do have these shake-ups. You and I might not like them very much, but it's very important to the genetics of leopards out here. And the same thing goes for lions. So without the change-up, eventually inbreeding will start. But luckily, nature doesn't really allow for something like that. And I just want to show you an example of what inbreeding can look like and can do to animals. Are you ready for this, Seb? I've got a picture. So there we go. This is what happens when birds, or an inbred bird. I thought you might all enjoy that. As I bet you all thought I was trying to be serious for a moment, and then here I go, obviously trying to make you all laugh. How funny, hey? I thought that was hilarious, so I thought I'd have to show you today. I've been trying to work that into my narrative the entire show. So it's taken me a while, but I thought, okay, well, we might... Thank you, Sebastian. You know, sometimes I try. But yes, Tingana's taking a nap. Those Inyala bulls have all walked past him now, and we initially thought he was drawn to them, but perhaps it's not the Inyala he wants tonight. It seems that he wants a cat nap at the moment, but those waterbuck and their little ones have ventured off further into the lodge, and I always find that the animals around the lodges are a little bit too relaxed. They even stop running away from people, you know, at a certain distance. So he might have a better chance if they go in there, especially if, you know, dinner service is happening. There might be plates clanging, the odd glass that drops and smashes on the floor, people cheering and cheersing after a successful safari. So, you know, all these things, of course, can happen, and maybe he's going to use those things to his advantage and try. But he's up and down. I mean, he has a little 10-minute nap. No, I am being serious though as well. Of course, I was being serious when I said that it's important we have a genetic change-up. So Hukumuri passing on by is not a bad thing. And I hope that he does stay. And the fact that he's managed to give the Anderson male a hiding, I think he's proven himself, because that's a big cat. I reckon he probably gave... We don't know if he gave Tingana a hiding or not. I didn't see anything. I don't think anybody saw an altercation between the two. But again, a lot of the times it happens behind the scenes. So, there you go. You know me, always trying to bring light to a serious situation, and it is a serious situation, having Hukumuri pass on through. That's why Shadow has disappeared. Most likely reason why Shadow has disappeared, and why, of course, Tundi is also hiding away. But I think the Avoca males also caused a bit of a stir there. Those are the lions. Here we go. He's got that face again, where his eyes get big, his ears hang low, and he's looking around. And that area he's looking in now is where those waterbuck were, those youngsters. So maybe they've actually edged even closer. We are getting to the end of the day now, so this is the time where antelope species will be coming down for one last drink. You wouldn't want to be venturing to the water's edge under the cover of darkness. Many, many mysterious things lurking in the water or close to the edge of the water. So it's wise that they do so. And we've got a bit of golden light, eh, Seb? That was nice. Beautiful on his lovely coat. And his coat is lovely and golden at the moment. So even though it's looking a bit scrappy and scruffy, his coat's still in good condition. And you can't see all his bones. So he's been eating just small meals. It's just, he hasn't devoured anything massive. So he'll get there. I promise you he will. These animals are so, so, so tough. You can remember how we've seen Mvula emaciated, thinking that he was on the verge of death. Disappear for a week, come back looking like he was 21 again. Well, a human age 21, fit as a fiddle. And you see that right front paw he's not happy with. Now, when he stood up, he did a little bit of a stretch, and Hillary, you've asked just that. Is he arthritic, or was it just a slow stretch? I think it's a combination of him not wanting to stretch all the way up, you see there? Because if he stands too tall, his head might poke over the top of the dam wall, and waterbuck will spot him. So I think he's trying to keep himself quite low as well. He looks quite tense at the moment. But when he was sort of crouched down like that, he does need to do a little bit of a stretch. You may remember we were watching the Impala for the school drive, the first 45 minutes of the sunset safari, and we had a young Impala ram that was all curled up. He eventually stood up and also did a big stretch. So they do. Animals stretch just like you and I. Their muscles need to also loosen up. Especially if you are going to go on a hunt. Stretching is important. Right, off you go. As the crow flies, you're probably only about 2 kilometers away from where from where Brent is. Apparently some more elephants have arrived on the scene.
So 2 bulls are back on the carcass. The one was actually climbing onto the carcass, and then the second one pushed it off. It almost looked like they were playing for a second. I don't think they were, though. So this behavior is just so fascinating. So they don't look like they're upset at all. And so they don't look angry. They're not showing signs of stress or anything like that. So it's just very interesting. And as I say, lots of people have different theories. No, to me, the behavior looks more like curiosity than mourning as such. So, I mean, they were sort of roughhousing on top of the carcass a little bit earlier. As I said, there's lots of different theories, and I don't think anyone knows exactly what's going on in these situations. We can always speculate. I mean, they were completely not interested in the carcass a few minutes ago. They were just sort of feeding close by. And then, again, now the carcass is incredibly interesting to them again. And they seem to be smelling around the wounds, and as I said, there's a wound behind the ear there. It seems to be attracting quite a bit of attention. Bev is asking about the injury behind the ear. Is it a tusk wound? It looks to be a tusk wound, Bev. Yes, it does look to be a tusk wound, but it's not a very deep injury. It's quite a shallow scrape. I mean, the worst injury was by far the one under the armpit. And I think even though the other Ellie might have pushed him around a bit, I think that was definitely the wound that led him to die. He probably was bleeding internally a lot, and from inspecting closer to the carcass, and his right tusk is buried deep in the sand, I think he just keeled over. Oh, look, here we go. The elephant's climbing up onto the carcass again. Look at that. As I say, it's just such interesting behavior. And what is going on? Anyway, it sounds like a shedulu is spotted something and is about to be on the move.
So we're not sure what she's spotted, but she's growling, so she's not hunting. It sounds like she might have spotted another leopard because she's making these growling sounds, and she's very, very curious. And I don't know if it's kind of, at one point it almost looked like she was looking at us, but she's looking off behind us, and I'm looking around. I can't see any sign of another leopard anywhere here, but the growling is something she would not do if she's hunting. And the way that she's looking, look how she's kind of creeping along. And I don't know if she's looking at us or if she's looking at whatever it is behind us. It's difficult to make it out because she's kind of staring straight over the top of Craig and I at the moment, which I don't know, like I say, if she's kind of seeing us or if it's maybe something to do with whatever's behind where we are. But she definitely was growling at one point, and she was making quite a bit of noise, and I don't know, like I say, if she's just a little kind of curious as to what we are, or if she's not really sure of what's going on at the moment. It's interesting because her behavior is super interesting. It's almost like she's not sure of the camera, but she's kind of, I don't know what the situation is at the moment. It's very, very interesting nonetheless. We're just going to have to wait and see what she does. If she starts, look, she looks like she's starting to salivate a little bit. So I wonder if there is something behind us. Maybe, you never know, maybe Hukamuri might be around as well. This might get quite interesting, but it almost looks as though she's watching Craig and I. It's really strange. Now, we can sit here for a little bit. We're going to try and see what happens. And so while we sit and kind of see what happens, we're going to just prep ourselves for a little broadcast that's going to go live on on various platforms, actually. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to a beautiful afternoon here in South Africa. We are coming to you live with one of the most amazing sights that you could possibly have. The elusive, the shy, the most difficult of the big cats to find, a beautiful leopard female who seems to be interested in something, and we just can't work out what it is at the moment. She's kind of stalking and looking, and it's almost as though she's seen something behind where we're sitting. Every now and then she lets out a bit of a growl, and so we're not sure if maybe there might be another leopard in this area. Now, I was saying that it is a live interactive safari, which means that you can ask questions, and you can do that by just posting in the comment sections below, and we'll try and answer as many as possible. Now, also, I've forgotten to introduce myself. My name is Tristan, and on camera I've got Craig, and this leopard is still very, very interested in something. And like I was saying, leopards generally, if they're hunting and stalking, they don't make noise, whereas this leopard is pretty much growling every now and then, and that's normally indicative of an animal that's spotted maybe another leopard close by. And so we think there could potentially be another leopard close by, and that's why she's kind of looking and bobbing her head and weaving. It's an interesting situation to see. I've never seen a leopard kind of do this with a vehicle or with a person, so it's not that. She's a fairly relaxed cat, and we see her quite often, and so it's interesting. Right, now unfortunately our technical glitch has happened, and so we're not on our action broadcast anymore, and we're still with Shadulu, but she's watching us. Now apparently we are on it, so I do apologize about that, but anyway, we're still with our leopard, and she's still watching us more than anything else and kind of sniffing towards us, so I have no idea what she's actually doing, but it's very, very interesting. I've never seen a leopard take this much interest in us, and it might be because the wind is blowing towards us. I thought for a second there was another leopard behind us, but it also could be that she's seeing her reflection in the screen or in the camera's lens, and that's maybe why she's having a little look. That's almost what it appears like, because I keep looking over my shoulder and I can't see a single thing anywhere near us, and she keeps kind of looking towards where we are. You see she's kind of coming a little bit closer and just checking us out. Now when I say she's a little bit closer, she's no more than about 3 meters from where she is, so she's right next to us, and she's just kind of watching us and checking what we're doing. Now Kathleen, you asking if she would recognize her own scent. I think that's what you said, and so probably yes. I mean, she's a cat that is a territorial individual, and so she marks territory regularly in order to try and keep her territory and keep other females out, and so she'll know areas that she's marked and where she's kind of been before, and she'll know her own scent versus a leopard's, well, another leopard's scent. So it's not that she's smelling herself, she's just curious as to what we are, which is maybe because this cat hasn't spent as much time around cameras as, or a vehicle with a camera on it, as she has normal game viewers with guests on it, and so that's maybe why she's a bit curious as to what this whole thing is and why we're kind of having it. But it's definitely that she's looking at us and not at another leopard, which is pretty interesting. I always thought at first she was spotted another cat and she was bobbing and weaving, or maybe a prey animal, but it's more that she's actually kind of watching herself in the lens of the camera, which is pretty strange. Now, Colleen, this is a female that we call Shadulu female. She's a newish female to our area. She's been spending most of her time to the west of where we are, and she's just come in recently due to the fact that a older female by the name of Shadow has been pushed further away by a new male that this female is already mated with, and that's maybe why she's here. She's followed that new male in, and she's now just working out this area and scent marking, and sort of starting to establish herself as a dominant female in this western sector of Djuma. So it's a very, very interesting kind of story that's going on at the moment. Now, Dory, you say, what's an exquisite animal? Well, they're my absolute favorite, Dory, and so they are seriously beautiful individuals. The spotted coat that they've got, those rosettes, the beautiful eyes, and in particular this female has got these kind of whitish, bluish tinged eyes. She is absolutely exquisite, and you can see she's got very few scratches, and that's because this is a much younger female. She's about 4 years old now, as opposed to some of the other females that we see that can sometimes be well over 12 years old, and so she's still just watching us. I don't know what the story is at the moment, but anyway, she's interested in what we're doing, and so we're going to stay with her for a little bit longer. It's been an absolute pleasure having all of you with us. Hopefully you'll carry on following us, and you can do that on Safari Live. You can just Google Safari Live and catch up with us on the various platforms. But from myself and Craig, like I say, it's been an absolute pleasure, and we'll leave you with one last look of the beautiful Shadulu. Right, so I don't know what Shadulu is up to at the moment, but she has taken a serious interest in Craig by the looks of things, or an interest just in the camera and her reflection in the lens, but she is seriously staring us down at the moment, and it's, I can tell you, a little bit of an uncomfortable feeling when a leopard looks at you like she's interested in you and wants to kind of find out exactly what you're made of, and she's kind of just staring us down at the moment. Craig, are you okay there? Yeah, Craig's okay. So he's, I think, thoroughly enjoying the fact that he's got a leopard that's kind of locking sort of eyes with him. And she's actually watching flies that are buzzing around our car, and she's really curious as to what's going on. It's an incredible situation, and it's very seldom that you see that. Now, Penny, if she comes closer and she gets right towards the car, or she makes any sort of tail swish or a hiss then we'll start the car and move off and try and just put some distance between us and her. She's not an aggressive female, and you can see there's no aggression in what she's doing. She's not tail flicking, her ears are not flat, she's not growling. She's just curious. She's watching us, and there's insects that are buzzing around the car at the moment, and it almost seems as though she's more interested in the insects buzzing around than she is actually us at this stage. And so I wonder if she's just kind of wondering what's going on. We've also got a new fan that we've installed in Jigger because Jigger was overheating a little bit, and the fan makes quite a bit of noise, and I wonder if that's maybe why she's so intrigued. Anyway, we're going to try and stay out of her way, and we'll just probably back off a little bit now, and while we do that, let's send you back across to Brent, who's got some very intrigued animals of his own.
Now, this really strange behavior is continuing. So it almost looks like these young bulls are now trying to show display dominance over the carcass. So they're climbing on it, they're pushing it around a bit, and in some cases their penises are coming out. So it looks like they're almost trying to play the dominance game with the dead ellie. So very, very unusual behavior. And whether they knew this elephant or not, it's near impossible to tell. But it is incredibly interesting, nonetheless, and not something you see every day. And they are keeping the vultures at bay. You can see he's actually pushing quite hard with his tusks now into the back of that ellie. As I said, they've been clambering all over the carcass. It's just amazing. They seem to be getting more and more boisterous with the carcass the longer they remain, and becoming more and more rough. They were very, very gentle in the beginning. You can see how when he look how he's putting that tusk in. He's putting that tusk in, or was putting that tusk in, quite hard. And then also having sort of little play wrestles with each other from time to time. This is incredibly interesting behavior. There we go. Back there, pushing the tusks in, climbing on. Well, just a quick update from the Game Drive radio. The Vultures are back, not too far from the northern boundary, hunting buffalo. So probably about 2 or 3 kilometers from Sydney's dam. Not even that, maybe 1.5 kilometers from Sydney's dam. They're chasing buffalo. So just a quick update there, and let's get back to the ellies. Oh, sniffing, sniffing, sniffing. There you go, climbing up again. Right onto the carcass. Isn't this amazing? Now, when the one does, the other one has been coming and then pushing it off or climbing on itself. Oof. Tanya, one of those impossible questions. I think these Ellies have seen another dead elephant before? It's impossible to know, Tanya. I think, what are they? 16, 17 years old, so probably. And see, they're being more playful than anything else at the moment. As they went off, started feeding, and all of a sudden, sort of like interest was perked again. Now, those Avoca males are a long, long way away from here, so they probably won't smell this carcass. What they might see is vultures dropping tomorrow, depending on where they end their buffalo hunt. And of course, if they catch the buffalo, however, then they'll probably not be too fussed with the vultures dropping down here. And the fact that this is where the Birminghams walked through yesterday and this morning means that it's unlikely that they will come dashing down here too quickly. See, there we go. Now they sort of play wrestling a bit. Oh, that's interesting. Can you hear some go-away bird alarming down towards Twin Dams? We're going to just continue to sit here and see how this plays out. In the meantime, let's hope Shidulu has lost her evil eye for the Batman.
No, not yet. She's still watching both Batman and I at this stage, and she's better. She's at least laid down now and not kind of looking so intently, but she's still watching us, and it's still pretty kind of creepy when she kind of looks at you a little bit and just stares deep at you. But seems to be fairly relaxed now. She's kind of sat down at least, which is good news, and she's not growling anymore. But honestly, have no idea. Craig and I were discussing it. At times it looks like she was looking at us, and at other times it looks as though she was looking completely past us towards something else. You see, every now and then she kind of twitches and looks a little bit further afield. I don't know if maybe she smelt something or what the situation was, but she kind of, I don't know, maybe it's just that when she's live, she does this, because now she's looking at us again, and she wasn't just now. She was lying down completely relaxed, and it almost seems as though whenever the camera's pointed directly at her, she kind of sees her reflection by the looks of things, and then she gets interested in what's going on, or it's because the noise of the fan is for some reason checking out. But the other thing is, you can't get a better visual of a leopard. Look at how beautiful those eyes are, and how beautiful her face is. She's an exquisite animal, and while it, like I say, can be a bit nervy when she kind of stares at you, it's still a kind of humbling experience being this close to a leopard. Now, what are you watching, girl? It's almost like she's looking through us, but you can't get a better view of a leopard's eyes than that. Look at that. Now, you see how she's laid down in the grass? What are you doing, girl? Now, what I might just do is I might just kind of back off. No, she's looking past us. I'm sure of it. Craig, what do you think? Is she looking at you or looking past us? I don't know. I'm very confused by her behavior. It's the first time I've ever seen a leopard do this, and I don't know if it's looking at Craig or if it's looking at us. And like I say, when normally if a leopard is very interested in you, you know, they'll just kind of bow their head, and if she's upset, she'll have a situation where her tail would flick, her ears would go back, she would hiss at us, show her teeth if she was angry. It's more curiosity. Now, Monique, tone of my voice, maybe, I don't know. It's every time I talk, she kind of stands up and does this. So I'm not sure what it is at the moment, but she's now just watching Craig and again kind of having a little look at what's going on. So it's really intriguing behavior, and something that I certainly have never seen from a leopard before. It is amazing to kind of watch what she's up to, and it's almost like every time she sees the camera move in any way, she kind of stands to attention again. So it's very, very interesting behavior, and one that I'm not 100% sure why she's doing it. It seems strange. I'm just trying to look behind Craig if I can see anything, but I don't see anything. We're kind of on the edge of a slope here, so it slopes down towards a drainage line, so we should be able to spot anything quite easily. If it was near where she's kind of looking and the way that she's looking, it would be a situation where you would think that we would be able to spot whatever she's looking at. But now she kind of it looks as though she's looking well past Craig again, and now down into the grass. So let's see what she gets up to. Interesting behavior, that's for sure. See, now she looks as though she's looking past the back of the car. And I'm just trying to listen to hear if there's any growling. There's no more salivating. I don't know. It's very, very interesting behavior. Shujulu, what is the story, girl? There was a bird that just flew that caught her attention. I don't know, like I say, why she would be staring at us so much. There's not like there's anything on the car or anything different. We're not wearing any bright colors, either of us. There's nothing different to how we normally are. That's why I'm intrigued that she's kind of staring at us so much. And all I can think of is that it's the fan from Jigger. That's the only thing that is different on this car, is that there is a new fan that's been installed, and it's quite noisy. And so that's the only kind of... So, Ariel, you were asking if I perhaps have a snake under the car. So, no, well, I don't think so, Ariel. Not that I saw. And if it was under the car, she would be looking under the car. She's literally looking directly at the camera and at Craig's legs every now and then, and maybe at me when I'm sitting and I talk. Sometimes she just kind of locks eyes with me where I'm sitting. And then every now and then she lifts her head, and it's almost like she's trying to look over the top of us. And so what I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to reverse back for her and let her just kind of have a bit more sort of field of view. And if she keeps looking at us, then we know she's got an issue with us rather than anything else. So what we're going to do is just do a little slow movement backwards. We're not going to try and kind of stress her out in any way. But you can see she's literally no more than 2-3 meters from the edge of the car and where Craig is sitting. So what I want to do is just slowly back away from her and just give a little bit of space, also so that I can look, because I'm trying to look over my shoulder the whole time, but I don't see anything. So if we stop here, let's see. She's now got a clear path. Let's go back a little further, Craig. There we go. She's now got an absolutely clear path from where we were parked, and you see she's still watching us. So she's intrigued by us in some reason. It's not what was behind us. It's not that we're in her way. There's plenty of space to have gone either side. I don't see anything that we parked in here. I don't know. It's just that she was, for some reason, intrigued with who we are and what we are. Now, it's the first time I've ever had a leopard that intrigued that is not a cub. You get cubs that look at you like that, but it's not something you see from adults very often. But although she's now kind of more fixated again where she was watching. Bobby, you say you're halfway around the world and you're intimidated by that stare. A little intimidating, isn't it? She's got icy blue eyes sometimes, and so it's something that you've got to be aware of. And like I say, I'd rather just get Craig into a position where he's not having to stress or worry about anything and can just take it easy. But you can see she still looks at us from time to time and is kind of checking us out. So while we wonder and see what Shadulu is up to, let's go back across to Taylor, who I think has left Tingana now and is probably just bumbling around Chitwa.
We have indeed left Mr. T, as there were quite a few other vehicles that wanted to have a look at him before the sun went down, so now we're bumbling. Now we're going to see if anything will jump up in front of the car for us. Of course, we wish Tingana on his best to try and catch something this evening. So hope he does sneak on into the lodge. And I think he might be waiting for the cover of darkness. I think he's trying to have all the things on his side today, the best possible chance at taking some prey down. He could have tried a little bit earlier. My goodness, what is that? It's huge. Is a beetle or something flying around? I have no idea what it was. Maybe. Did it look like it had a horn? Could be a rhino beetle. That was massive. It was like the size of my hand. This thing with its wings open, zzz, flying around. Oh yes. We need to come and cut all these branches. We find. They're all overhanging. Everything has loved the rain that we've had over the past couple of weeks and has flourished. So I'm sadly not tall enough to use a machete standing up that high. We kind of need to come with a chainsaw and just take on some of these branches. My goodness, it seems as though all the elephants of the Sabi Sand have come down to, well, investigate around the elephant that passed away. Quite an interesting sighting. I'm a little bit envious, but I'm sure Brent is very, very happy with watching all that behavior. So let's go see what the next herd of elephants does.
Well, it's still the same eddies that have been here the whole afternoon. And there we go. You can see that they're continuing on with that dominance display, mounting the carcass and then wrestling with each other. They actually had a little bit of a tussle while one was actually on the carcass itself. So this is incredibly interesting behavior. And I don't think we will ever truly know exactly what's going on here. But I suppose all we can do is speculate at the moment. So as I say, I don't think they're mourning. I think there was a bit of curiosity, and then they can obviously smell that it's a big elephant, and then almost a bit of like, well, let me see if I can get a bit of dominance here, get a bit of a one-up, but not in a serious way. I don't know, it's just really strange and interesting behavior to watch. Now, the elephant that showed the most interest initially was the one with the stumpy tail, and he's long gone. He moved off with the herd, and it's just these two again now. One that arrived with the stumpy tail who showed very little interest in the beginning, and then that young teenager who I've seen quite a lot of in the last couple of weeks since I've been back, and he's sort of joined in the party, so to speak. Now, a lot of people, and Pee-wee included, are asking, do you think they were trying to wake it up and that's why they were being rough? I don't. So, I mean, they're playing. You can see what I mean. So they're still playing, and they're not showing any signs of distress or anger or anything like that. So, no, I don't think they're being rough to try wake it up. Now, also, quite a few of you were wondering why nothing was done in terms of trying to dart the animal and see if it could have been helped and see if you could have fixed it. Unfortunately, with a wound like that, there's zero chance of recovery almost. You'd have to put an elephant in an ICU ward and keep it sedated, and also the type of drugs you need to keep an elephant down. Long-term use of M99 would also probably cause liver and heart failure in the elephant. But the fact that the stomach was completely ripped open, and I mean there was almost zero chance of survival for this poor Ellie after that happened. And again, it's one of those difficult ones. That the elephant population in South Africa is very healthy. It's actually growing, and it's growing to the point where it's actually becoming a problem. And the elephants are running out of space. Most of the reserves that can handle large elephant populations are chock-a-block with ellies. And this is a natural mortality, and in a healthy population like we have, one shouldn't be trying to fix natural mortalities. I know some of you are going to disagree with me, but that's the truth of it. And it's a natural mortality in a healthy ecosystem, in a wild population. Who are we to play gardeners in Eden and start fiddling? And this isn't an overpopulation problem. This isn't anything like that. This is just daily elephant lives. Well, there we go. That young bull's mounting again, but it sounds like Shadulu might have spotted a potential dinner.
I don't know if Shadulu has spotted a dinner so much as she's still trying to kind of watch us. She's now come and sat on a log right next to my door. She's literally, I would say, I don't know, meter and a half from where I am. So there I am right there. You guys can see that she is literally right here. And I do not want to move too much because I'm worried if I move too much, she kind of attracts her attention. But she's, for some reason, infatuated with the sides of the car. She's also looking at all over the sides of the car, and I have no idea why. Girl, what are you doing? Are we making friends today? Are we bonding? Is that what we're doing? Is it time to bond so that next few sightings we don't have to worry about all of this nonsense? Doesn't seem like she's listening to me. Why are you not listening to me? You have to listen to me. No, I'm boring apparently. That's why she's not listening to me. But isn't this the most ridiculous sighting? I think it's amazing. It's probably been one of my highlight leopard sightings that I've had at Djuma. I thoroughly enjoyed every minute of it. I know it looks as though it's been really scary, but I've at no point felt uncomfortable with her. She doesn't give me that uncomfortable feeling. She just gives me a feeling like she's interested in what we are, what we're doing. I wonder if maybe, just maybe, the scent of Jigga is something that she hasn't. She's just kind of curious of what this car is. You see, she's sniffing at us and looking at me. Hello, girl. Oh, sorry, are we confusing you? What's wrong? This is very cool. Look at that beautiful... I find she's got a beautiful tail as well, this female. She's got like a long, fluffy tail. It is very, very pretty. And it's kind of stretched out along the branch at the moment. Beautiful big rosettes all over her. And she does look extremely good, doesn't she? She's in the prime, or starting to come into the prime of her life as a young female. She's about to become as pretty and as perfect as she could be for the course of her life. So she's got very few nicks. She's in great condition, very few ticks, funnily enough, which is something that we've seen on a lot of the other leopards around here. A lot more ticks than this. Pea hearts? No, I don't think it's another leopard scat. I haven't seen any other leopards or seen any other leopard scat that we could have driven over. So I don't think it's that. I think if anything, it's just a situation where she's curious. She just wants to know what we are. Remember that most of her life she's spent with big game viewers, with rows of seats and guests on the back. She's very seldom has she spent much time other than in a tree with us like this, on a vehicle with a camera on the back and only two people. And so she's curious as to what's going on. Why are you looking at my leg like it's a steak? Don't look at my leg like it's a steak. No, that's not good. So she's kind of looking straight at me at the moment. It is really, she is an exceptionally pretty female, and her curiosity with us is something quite incredible. No, don't do that now. Yes, I can see you. Okay, enough now. She's just watching Craig a little bit as well. But you can see she's staring straight in our direction. For some reason, she's intrigued by us, and I have no idea what it is. I've looked around the car. I've looked underneath the car. It's just nothing that I can see that could in any way. The only thing that I can think of is that the wind is blowing in her direction most of the time, and so maybe she can smell us, and that's why she's a bit kind of curious as to what we are. But fascinating, that's for sure. Thoroughly enjoying this. Now, I apologize about my shoulder every now and then. It's quite difficult to get out the way when she's as close as she is, and I'm hesitant to move just because she's kind of not at an aggressive way, and I don't want to make her spooked or anything like that, or I want her to try and get over this fascination that she's got in a way that she'll just kind of look and stare and smell, and once she's happy with it, she will start to walk. Rebecca, I told her earlier that I'm not a piece of meat and I have feelings too, and she can't eat me. I've explained this to her. She knows. Now, where are you off to? No. That's not on. You're not allowed to come jump near the car. So she almost looked like she wanted to climb onto the bonnet there. And so what we're doing is just driving back so that she doesn't do that. Because as much as it's okay for her to be around the car, she's not allowed on the car. That's a no-no for any leopard, and we don't encourage any of that behavior. And I don't know if anybody has been allowing her to do that, and that's why maybe she's been doing this. But she's not allowed to go anywhere near a vehicle. She's not allowed to go jumping on it or anything like that. What are you doing? No, you can't keep coming closer. And she wants to scent mark right where we were parked. You can actually see my tire track right next to her. So let's see where she goes from here. Shudulu? No, girl. You're not allowed to be on the front of the car. Let's just see where she goes. I'm just watching her very, very carefully because, you know, if she jumps on the front of the car, it's a big problem. It's not something we want to promote. It's not something we want her to do. And so if she comes close like that, the best thing to do is just to reverse and let her go. So now she's kind of still watching. You behave yourself. So she's, sorry, Craig, she's right there behind, well, in front of the car. So I'm just watching her vicariously through Craig's lens at the moment. I think she's going to lose interest fairly shortly and move off, which is fine. Pretty incredible sighting though. It's amazing kind of way, and like I say, we're here to watch but not to interfere. And so I have a very strict rule with any cats, is that I don't ever allow cats to touch the car. So they can be curious and they can watch and they can look and they can sit close to us and they can lie in our shade. They can do all of these things, but they're not allowed to touch the car and they're not allowed to even put a nose near it. And so when they start coming up like that and coming very, very close, that's when we need to just pull back a little bit. And you can see now her curiosity is over and she's now moving off, so we can start carrying on following her and not have to worry about her jumping on the car. And that's the only reason we reserved. It's not a panic moment, it's not anything like that. It's just to teach her that we're not something that she must get any idea of jumping on. As much as we kind of view her, she has her personal space, we have our personal space, and we keep it separate. And that's the kind of lesson that we were just trying to go for there. But very, very, very cool nonetheless. Anyway, right, now I'm going to keep up with her and try and sort of see where she goes to and what she gets up to. And while I do that, let's send you back over to Brent, who's got that really interesting sighting of the early bulls still with that dead elephant.
You can see that these two bulls are still here, and they're sort of almost taking turns at the moment when it comes to climbing on top of that dead ellie. It's really, really fascinating behavior. I've never seen this before. I've seen bigger elephant bulls attack dead corpses and tusk them and stuff like that, but I haven't seen this sort of dominance display go on and on like the little boys are doing at the moment. It's gonna be, I wonder how long they're going to stay here. So I mean, we're going to sit here for until the end of drive, and I'll definitely be back here first thing tomorrow morning. Slaney is asking if is it possible that the elephant who's dead was exuding pheromones during the fight, which are confusing the young ones now. I don't think so, no. That was, the fight would have been yesterday, the first fight. I suppose another fight yesterday evening or early hours of this morning. I don't think so, no. I don't think that's possible. Now, as I say, there's a lot of different theories on what elephants do with corpses, mourning, etc. Now, I have seen young elephants play like this with a hippo corpse that was killed by lions, and pick up bones of buffalo, giraffe, and other elephants. So I think it's more curiosity. That's my personal theory. As I said, quite a few will probably disagree with me, but I've been watching elephants in the wild my whole life, and if it was true mourning, I don't know how much of this other behavior that we see around these corpses would be going on. I mean, there's no sign of distress in them. There's no sign of anger. So they're just carrying on. It's sort of not a toy, but something interesting and a bit unusual that they're sort of having a bit of fun around. And the interesting fact, quickly across to Shidule.
Now, we've just followed Shidule and she went running past a termite mound, funny enough, and she's just caught herself what looks like a button quail, and she's busy just chomping down on that, although it looks like maybe a young bird, isn't it? No, it is a button quail that she's managed to grab. So I know a lot of you have never seen button quails. Well, that's what they look like. Unfortunately, this is a rather mangled version of one because she's starting to eat it. But how insane is the light that we're getting on her as well? There's this kind of pinkish gold-colored light, and she's tucking into this bird, and that's only going to be a mere morsel for a leopard of this size. There's not much meat on a little button quail, but she's opportunistic, and this is why leopards are so successful, is because they'll go after anything. They can go after little quails, they'll go after things as big as baby elephants, and you might even find one trying to scavenge off that big elephant bull that is on with Brent. And so amazing to see. She's putting on a serious show this afternoon. She's doing all kinds of crazy things and fast developing a reputation as one of my more favorite cats that we've got here. I've thoroughly enjoyed spending the afternoon with her. She's been very, very cool in many respects. And so I like the way that she goes about things. She's a very beautiful female. She's got the most amazing eyes, and, well, you know how I am. I have a soft spot for any leopard, but she's very cool. Like I say, I've had an epic afternoon with her, and you can see how she's trying to shake it to get the meat and not worry about all the wing feathers, because she's not going to get any nutrients from the wings itself. And so this is how she kind of eats them. Now, Trish, you want to know if this is the starter? Yes. So she's ordered her starter. This is her canapé before she decides to go and maybe lounge with some bubbles and a main course. So for now, she's got a situation where she's absolutely devoured that poor little bird, and that's the end of that. And so, well, I wonder how many button quails get eaten if you see how quickly she ate that, and off we go again. She's going to now carry on towards her sort of area that she wants to move to. And I'm pretty sure hunting session is not over. I'm pretty sure she is going to carry on with her hunting for the evening. Look how fast she walks. No wonder she can be quite tough to find. You can see she's not exactly going very, very slowly at all. That is crazy. Well, off we go. Let the adventure continue. And so while we kind of carry on trying to follow her through here, let's head you back over towards Taylor, who's driving into this beautiful sunset.
That we are. I'm also trying to fix my mic pack at the moment. Haha. Fixed it. Now, what I thought we would do is start checking the boundaries to see if any of the hyenas, any of the cats are on the move, heading towards that carcass, because there are just vultures everywhere. And I'm sure that they would have seen those vultures coming down today and perhaps come around to investigate. I'm sure the hyenas are going to be the first ones there too. It's going to be, I think, quite exciting a little bit later tonight and probably tomorrow morning and for the days to come. So pretty cool, in fact. And then I was just listening on the radio now. I think Brent did give an update, but it seems as though a herd of buffalo have arrived at Tingana Dam in Buffelshoek, and that's where the Avoca males are. They're sitting on the dam wall watching the buffalo from a distance. So it wouldn't surprise me if they make an attempt on those buffalo a little bit late. We'll find out what the verdict is in the morning, if they did successfully take anything down. But so far we haven't had any luck just yet on picking up on anything. I'm almost going to use my spotlight. Almost. Not just yet, and I don't think it's warm enough to have a chameleon tonight either. So I don't think we'll be winning that way, but maybe some owls. I'm sure we'll get some nightjars and a few other things moving around. Ooh. Seems as though Brent has put his infrared light on, waiting, like we are, in anticipation for something to come through to that carcass. Let's go see if there's anything there.
Well, we're playing the patience game, and their little boys are still around, but they have moved off a little bit to the left. There we go, you can just see them through there. Now, while these guys are around, it's going to be very unlikely that any of the predators are going to come through. I was really hoping by now we might have a leopard or a lion or a hyena somewhere around here. Now, those of you who joining in late might be wondering what happened here. The elephant was killed in a battle with another elephant bull. Now, Monty, I'm not quite sure what you're asking. And so Monty says, when elephants get wounded, do they get a kind of distemper? Now, distemper is a runny stomach. This elephant did have a runny stomach, but that's because his stomach was punctured by the tusk of that big musk bull. So, no, not distemper as a disease, but yes, he would have had a very runny stomach, and there was a lot of blood and clotting in that stomach. But that was due to the fact that that elephant's tusk went up under his elbow here and right into his cavity. And that elephant has got very big tusks. So it probably did some damage to some other internal organs as well. And as I said, it also looked like that the Ellie bull came back for another round with him after we left him yesterday. So there was a few more sort of battle marks. Who knows, it could have even been a different elephant, but unlikely. It was probably the same musk bull. Now, what's been quite amazing is that we've had these young elephant bulls around the carcass, and a big breeding herd with little babies and whatnot passed within 50 meters of the carcass, and I'm sure they could smell the carcass, but they didn't come here. They just kept moving through. But I can only see one, and you see the other one as he marched off. He's moved off, so there's only one of the little boys left here now. It is also an amazing time of the evening. You can hear all the sounds very clearly. It's very still at this time of the day. Now, I don't think in any way is this elephant guarding the carcass. As I said, it's more of a curiosity to him, and I think he'll probably move off sometime in the next little while. Now, it's going to be very interesting over this carcass over the next few days. Are the Avoca males going to come back down from the north? Are the Birminghams going to come back from the south? The Birminghams were already in central Andalusia around the Sand River by this morning, so they covered incredible distance last night. So it is the problem about having such a large territory with those lions, that they have to sort of dash around trying to keep other males out, and one has to wonder if they've maybe got too much territory now. Well, Taylor is coming from Chitwa, which is over there across the hill. So she's trying to see if there are any predators on their way to where we are sitting.
We are. We've picked up on some male lion tracks now, but they're the ones from last night, from when the Birminghams were doing a bit of a patrol. I don't know where the Birminghams are. I don't actually know where they've been found. But the Birminghams tracks come down here basically to this area. I think we call it Safari Junction. It's basically a crossroad of roads where all the signs are. Like, you can see all the lodges now that are in this area. Shall we start at the top? It's very quiet. We have got cheetah plains. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, let's go across to Brent.
Okay, so our first scavenger has arrived, and that young Ellie bull has spotted him, and it looked like it was going to try chase him. Here he comes. He's just behind this tree. There we go. I think he's going to make a run at the hyena. I've lost sight of the hyena. No, it's still there. And there we go. So I knew it was a matter of time before the first of the scavengers arrived. Now, with the scavengers arriving, this might just mean this Ellie's going to move off. As I said, I don't think he's guarding the carcass. And they just don't like predators in general, elephants, whether it be lion, elephant, or wild dog. And the hyena are incredibly patient. So I think that hyena, I was hoping that elephant might give the hyena a bit more of a chase, a little bit of a trumpet and a charge, but unfortunately not. But I didn't even see the hyena, so it's dark, and I said we're in infrared, it's quite dark. But what I did is I just saw that elephant's body language change, and I knew there was something close by. Just getting my spotlight out so I can have a quick scan around. See if there's anything else sneaking up. There isn't, just that single hyena. It's probably going to take the long way around to get to that elephant carcass now. Here we go. What are you throwing sticks around, trying to intimidate the hyenas, but it's not going to work, I'm afraid. Kathy, at the elephant carcass, I just saw movement behind it. Just have a look. I just can't see. I just saw something. Was it a drongo flying past? I just saw a little bit of movement. Almost looked like a tail swish or something. But that elephant skin is incredibly thick. Kathy's asking how hard is it for the predators to open it up. Well, lions and hyenas will manage. I mean, it is tough, especially as the skin gets older. But, I'm sorry, it'll get easier as the skin gets older and rotting starts to take place. But yes, they will be able to open it up without too much difficulty. Where are you gone, hyena? Didn't take long after the sun set for the first, there we go, hyena to show up. Is that a hyena?
Just through the back there.
There it is, yeah. There's the hyena there. So it didn't take long for the first hyena to show itself after dark. But a single hyena like this approaching a carcass like this is always very cautious. Not only is the elephant there, but the fact is there could be lions, there could be lots of other things here. Let's have a quick look if there are any more around. So it's being very cautious. It's just hanging around in its little bush there, trying to make sure there's nothing more dangerous before it starts feeding on the carcass. So lions, leopards, hyenas are all known to scavenge quite frequently. And Pisces is wondering, will wild dogs appear? on this carcass and scavenge. Wild dogs very seldom scavenge on a carcass. I've only seen it once in my life, so probably not. They probably won't scavenge. There we go, there, just behind the tree there. Getting closer and closer now, about 4 or 5 meters from the carcass. Now, I don't want to move any closer. This hyena's quite nervous. And that Ellie is moving off. So there we go, going immediately towards the soft areas that the vultures have managed to open up. And there you can see how truly big, even though he wasn't the biggest elephant. I mean, look at the size difference to that hyena. And this elephant carcass is going to provide us with some incredible sightings over the next little while. We're going to go do a quick little short for a few seconds. And hiking from
Now, we have unfortunately left Shadula. She left us for dead. We were driving through very thick bush, and she unfortunately made a hasty escape, and we couldn't keep up with her. And so I have her, and what an epic afternoon it was. And, well, amazing to see. And I don't know why Brent has still got gremlins, but hopefully they will disappear around that carcass, and hopefully there will be none that attack us as well this evening. We're just slowly but surely heading home and going towards back towards the DRC, but apparently we've also got gremlin issues, so we're going to send you quickly back to Taylor before anything bad happens to us.
Oh, hello. That was a bit of a surprise. Hi, everybody. We're looking for snakes. That's what we're doing at the moment. We are driving around on the Snake Road, which is the Bellinites Road. Remember that one time we saw a worm slang here? Very, very cool. Sorry, I was completely taken off guard there. I was deep in thought about all sorts of wonderful things in the world and had no idea what just happened. So, I don't know what we're going to see. It's quite cold. I don't know if the bush babies are going to be out. I doubt we're going to see many chameleons and snakes. I don't know. We just actually drove past a tree, and Seb and I had a good look scanning up and down, trying to see if we could find a snake wrapped around a branch. So, yeah. Right. Anyways, I'm going to send you across to, well, I try and drive because I can't drive apparently. I have to do many things tonight. Whoops. Send you back to Brent, who seems to have found some signal.
There we go. The hyena has come back around, and we do apologize about disappearing there. It's come back around to where that opening was made by the other elephant with his tusk. So there is the hyena starting to feed, and I'm sure it won't be too long before there are more hyenas here. And by tomorrow morning we could easily expect 20 or 30 hyenas around, possibly some lions. Okay, we're going to do a quick little Facebook Live, so I'm going to be quiet for a few seconds. Welcome back to the Sabi Sands in South Africa. We're still sitting next to the dead elephant for those who were with us earlier. And now, as the sun has set, a hyena has arrived. My name is Brent Leo Smith. I have my good friend Dave on camera. And we've been here for about 4 hours now. And we've seen elephants come in. And now, as it's got dark, the first of the predators and the scavengers has arrived. And it is busy feeding from exactly where the elephant that killed this elephant's tusk went into its body. So there's a nice easy opening for the hyena, making it a little bit easier for it to open up this carcass. As I said, I don't think it'll be too long before there are more hyenas here, but we will definitely be back early tomorrow morning to see what has transgressed overnight. You can see how tough that elephant's skin is. The hyena is very nervous because it's by itself, and it is possible that lions might pop up at any second. And the hyena is aware of our presence, Godwin. It knows we are here, but we're in our safari vehicle, so we don't pose a threat. Denise, you are 100% correct. Nothing goes to waste out in the African bushveld. And my prediction is in 5 days, there will just be some bones. And even those bones, and, well, there we go, Kyle. Answered your question for you there. About 5 or 6 days, my estimate is. And my estimate, not estimate, terrible English, estimate is. And it will be just a few bones, and even those bones, after there's no meat left on them, will provide calcium to rodents and even to animals like giraffe will sometimes also pick up bones and chew them when they feel like they need calcium. There we go. So I said by tomorrow morning there probably could easily be 20, 30 hyenas here. Maybe some lions if we're lucky. Now, this carcass is very fresh, but as it gets older, the smell will start to permeate through the air. And Tam Tam's asking how far will it travel? A good couple of kilometers, Tam Tam. But also, the predators will spot the vultures as they drop down into the trees around the carcass, and lions and hyenas will actually follow vultures to see if there's anything. Oh, he just popped the stomach. He just popped the stomach. There we go. Oh, so this is not for sensitive viewers. Be warned. This hyena has just popped open the elephant's stomach that's been filling with gas throughout the day. So now the smell is well and truly out. And it's going to be very interesting to see what's here in the morning. Now, hyenas will often actually take pieces of meat away from a carcass like this and hide it in a puddle of water so the other hyenas can't smell it and find it. They are very ingenious creatures. Oh, disappeared behind the Ellie now. Now, as you can see, the tusks are still on the carcass. They will be collected by the park officials. And Jenny's asking, will they chew on the tusks? They won't. There's no food benefit. It's enamel-like teeth, so there's no nutritional benefit to the hyenas or to anything really. So no, they will not chew on the tusks. Here you go, hyena. Now, if you want to see what's happening with this elephant tomorrow, remember you can join us on YouTube by just typing in Safari Live. We are 100% live, so not only can you catch us on Facebook for these short little snippets and tidbits into the wonderful African world, but we do run 6 hours a day on YouTube. Just type Safari Live. I will be back here early tomorrow morning to see what has happened overnight. So from all of us out here in the African bush, and the hyena who's back, getting one last snack. We'll see you bright and early tomorrow. Well, look at that. Patience is always the most important when you're sitting out in the African bush, whether you're with sleeping cats or waiting next to a dead elephant. If you put in the time, you will see incredible things such as we have this evening with the elephants and now the hyena. And of course, Tristan had that incredible Shadulu sighting and catching a button quail. Isn't that amazing? I've never heard of a leopard catching a button quail. And of course, Taylor with the old man of the northern Sabi Sands, Tingana. So get ready to join us for an action-filled morning sunrise safari from beautiful South Africa. So from all of us at Safari Live, good night.